I've survived over 1,000 days in my Minecraft survival world, and in this full movie is a combination of all my episodes where I've built some of my most immersive and favourite projects to date. And you're also going to see how my building and editing improves a lot over time. So if you're ready for some laid back building and adventure, then hit that like button and let's jump right in.
Hello and welcome to a new series where today I'm going to be starting on a brand new Minecraft 1.21 world of a bunch of my closest friends. And in this series, I'm going to be going back to the basics and really just trying to take it slow and just enjoy the game. You've probably seen a lot of it lately, this trend of videos around people kind of just wanting to go back to the basics of Minecraft and just not rush through every element as quick as possible. And to be honest, I can relate to that quite a lot. I'm not exactly burnt out with the game, but if I'm completely honest with myself, I have definitely fallen into that trap of just trying to build bigger and better every time and kind of rush through and skip a lot of those fun aspects, particularly of that early gameplay. But today is where I'm just going to be going back around, hopefully in a full circle, and I want to revisit some of the things in the game that I've just not really tackled or even really bothered with for quite some time. That stuff like not flying around everywhere on Elytra, and I don't know, maybe going back to the good old days of horseback riding across the world, or building up great railway systems to link up different parts of the world. And I'm going to be avoiding a lot more of those mega builds that I've previously focused on a lot on in previous series. I'm just going to go back to the basics and just focus on smaller builds that hopefully tell a bit more of a story and that have a real purpose on this world to make it feel more joined up. But to make things even more interesting, I'm actually going to be basing up with one of my best friends in real life, known in the game as Mr. Unknown. So the pair of us together should hopefully make for a bit of a fun and unique combination. And we haven't actually played together in actually at least a couple of years now, so it's going to be really fun to play again with him and see what we can achieve together. But as the first full night approached, I was quickly reminded of just how terrifying it is when you have no bed to sleep away the night, no armor to protect yourself with, and no real source of food to keep yourself saturated and healed from the mobs that are stalking you in the dark. And all you really have to do is keep your wits about you, try and avoid getting blown up by creepers, shot by skeletons, or just generally mobbed by zombies. But you can either really just hide away in a dirt hut, or you can try and keep moving and survive through into the day. And thankfully, I made it through almost completely unscathed to do a bit of fishing and then cook some fish up here on this fire at Wraithland's little starter area that he has got going here. And then I started doing some early exploring. Now, straight up, really off the bat, really, is looking up at this mountain, which is just right by spawn. And honestly, it is beautiful. This seed actually is possibly one of my favorite ones to date. And I found it completely by chance when I was exploring possible seeds for this new world. And it is just incredible. So I had to really take myself up this mountain. And while it worked out really well, as I'd already forgotten just how much iron and coal you can also find pretty much exposed out in the open. So it is quite perfect in those early game stages just to get up these resources quite fast without having to really make your way down into any mine straight away. So I was able to just take in the views of the surroundings and just casually chip away at these pieces of iron and coal that were just hanging around, ripe for the picking. The first death really was inevitable to happen sooner or later. It's one of the reasons why I'll probably never play hardcore as well. I always have the stupid deaths, and this one is no exception, as I thought I'd be clever and try and steal one of the villagers' beds here in this little village next to the mountain. But the creeper that you saw here, he followed me into the hut, and well, karma struck as he killed both me and the villager and pretty much blew up the whole of the hut. But thankfully, I hadn't actually lost any much stuff, and I was able to gather up pretty much all of my items. And I then did the typical thing of, well, looting up some of the hay. It's like I hadn't really learned my lesson, but I desperately needed that hay so that I could make up some bread to keep myself going for a while. But it was at that point that I actually joined my friend Eden for the first time. And he had actually found this little spot here on the ridge up on the top of the mountain that I'd just been exploring. And you know what? I think this is going to be a perfect place for us to start building out a bit of a starter base. So we had a couple of beds spaced down. I started adding in some cod heads, and then we had some furnaces going and a couple of chests. But I think that will be enough to get us started. And then I really just need to get us started with a solid source of food. So one of the things I quickly got to work doing was really just going around and foraging for some seeds so that I could then build out a little wheat field. Now, the ridge at the moment is pretty stony out here, and it's not really looking all that interesting at the moment. So I think what I really need to do is just kind of fill out the space a little bit more and hopefully greenify a little bit more and just add in some sort of planters. I'm kind of taking a little bit of inspiration from the villagers that automatically generate and just kind of build up some different planters really, just to get some crops going and give ourselves a source of food. I'm thinking probably just some wheat, maybe some carrots and potatoes and something along those lines. But I'd barely really even got started when I was rudely interrupted by a pillager raid party, and I just sort of jumped straight in really and tried to tackle them head on, and I actually forgot about the whole bad omen, and I'm actually right next to a village, so I did actually have a bit of a panic sort of midway through when I killed the captain, that I was going to be getting bad omen and triggering a raid so soon, which would probably have been, well, it would have absolutely been deadly for me this early on in the game. But then I remembered I was playing in Minecraft 1.21 and you no longer automatically get the bad omen effect. Instead, you get a ominous potion that drops, and I actually completely missed the potion drop, so I didn't actually pick it up at all. And I just got confused why I wasn't getting the effect, and when I realized, oh, it was a sigh of relief really that I didn't have to worry about any extra danger. But after that episode, me and Eden got to work and we started then planting in some wheat seeds to basically fill out the first of a few planters. So this one will be so that we can obviously get a nice renewable source of food, as at the moment we're still pretty short on the food front. With the first planter in place, we then moved on and started building out a couple more for other plants like the melon and pumpkin plants so that we can actually have something to trade with villagers. We're not going to go too crazy on the villager front, but Eden was quite keen to get a few together so that we could get our hands on some of the common enchanted books, just the sort of typical ones like efficiency, mending and fortune, etc. A few hours actually passed since the last clip, and well, me and Eden have been pretty busy. I focused on building out a bit more of the exterior area here by building a downtrodden path, using a lot of coarse dirt and the packed mud and everything along those lines to just add in some pathways and just remove some of the stoniness that I mentioned before. And then I also built out some little lanterns just to add a little bit of natural lighting. We got in an extended wheat field and a little space to grow up some trees. And then Eden, he got a pen built up here ready to have in a load of cows and sheep for a source of leather and wool. And then really Eden's also been really busy by starting to build out a little interior area here inside of the mountain, where he started building out some storage space and building out some pens ready to move in some villagers. It's sometimes all too easy to fall into the trap of just planning your world a little bit too much and just kind of spending too much time trying to get all the little details in place, and maybe in a creative world or in some other form. But I think it's actually important to just live more in the moment in your world, and that's something that I'm really trying hard to do this time around. So I just figured rather than messing around too much, I would just kind of see where the inspiration struck, and as it happens, there's a little area here that I thought would be perfect to just kind of expand out the path that I started building before with all this coarse dirt and the packed mud. And well, I love using packed mud in any kind of paths. It's just perfect for it. It's definitely one of my favorite blocks that Mojang added in. It's just a bit of a shame that it's so hard to get in the early game stages, but we'll probably build a bit of a farm at some point to make it a little bit easier for ourselves. But basically, what I just had in my mind was something on the lines of maybe building a bit of a cozy seating area and a campfire where me and Eden can just kind of sit back and take in the views from the mountainside. But as is the way, I'd barely really got started when I got distracted, as Eden wanted to show me the success that he had with the first proper villager that he got in place. He'd only really been sort of trying to lock in the trades the first few times when he managed to get a efficiency 5 villager, which would be perfect, as we're definitely going to be needing that for all of our tools to make our lives a little bit easier. So Eden was definitely very pleased with himself, as he probably should be, but his luck didn't last long, as only really sort of shortly after that he had a little disaster, and some of his villagers escaped, and there was certainly a little bit of an amusing moment where he was scrambling around trying to get them back inside to get them in their pods. But after a while, he got them in place, and then I kind of went back to then go and start finishing off the little campfire area. Well, distraction number 2 came completely out of the blue in the form of this beautiful horse. I was completely blown away. And well, I had been fully intending on finding a horse at some point, but I wasn't even really quite ready for it at this point. And actually, it's been so long, I couldn't even fully remember how you actually tame horses. So at first, I tried feeding her some carrots and hoping for the best, but when I had no luck, then I remembered it was something to do with trying to ride them and then hoping that they would allow you to continue doing so. But I tried for a few times with not much luck, initially with just the saddle, and then I remembered it actually had to be an empty offhand. So I tried that, and then after a few attempts, she thankfully accepted me as her rider. So I took her out for a little ride and went to go and make my way down the mountain, but then I remembered there was no real safe way of currently getting down there, and as I really don't want to risk the life of my horse, I decided I'd have to leave taking her out for a proper ride to another time until I've actually started building out a bit of a sort of stairway down the mountain, down to the sort of the lower area. I've been busy, and you know what? This is exactly the sort of gameplay in Minecraft I've really been missing of late. It's just that whole thing that I mentioned before about going back to the basics and focusing on some of the sort of smaller, cozier builds, and that's exactly what I've done here. It's nothing too exciting, but it's just super cozy, and I think it's going to really set the mood and vibe for a whole mountain outcrop that we need and have going on here. And I think it's definitely sort of the style that I want to keep building on in, and just kind of keep adding and seeing what else and what fun we can have in general, and see where it all takes us, really. But I've not just left it at that. I've also been really busy, and I've started building out a stairway down the mountain so that me and my horse finally can have a way up and down the mountain, as we definitely need a way to do so, as well, there's the whole spawn area that we need to get to, and we've got other players on the server that want to make their way up the mountain as well. So by adding in this stairway, we finally have a route up and down that's not too precarious. Now, I'll be honest, it's probably the most convenient thing in the world. I tried to go a bit more for the aesthetic sort of look with different height levels here, with the sort of the rickety look, should I say, with campfires, the spruce stubs and trapdoors, stairs, and the full block. So it's very uneven, it's sort of very worn and aged, but you know what? I don't even care. I just love it. And it doesn't really matter when you're on a horse anyway, because your horse can kind of just go over it, no problem at all. If you're traversing my foot, it's a little bit more finicky, but I don't really mind. I think it's going to do the trick and kind of meet the needs that we have really as a whole. As definitely later on the line, we're probably going to add in more roads and things like that, and join everything up a little bit more here on the server as the other players sort of start building out their base areas. Things are bad, really bad. Things have taken an awful turn for the worse. I was out visiting Mechachunk to see his progress with his starter home, and a creeper caught me completely off guard. And what's worse, I was actually riding my horse at the time, and after I recovered from the death, I was frantically trying to make my way back to see if my horse had actually survived, but then the news struck. It was not good. My horse hadn't made it, and although we hadn't spent that much time together, I was still devastated, as I had really been starting to enjoy navigating the world by horseback, and I really didn't know what to do with myself at that point. So as I sadly gathered up my stuff, I sort of thought back to the times I had trying to tame the horse, and she may not have been the fastest or the best jumper in the world, but she had been my horse and she was something special. So I really didn't know what to do with myself at that point. I very nearly almost quit the game to kind of recover with that loss, but I made the slow trek back up to Mine Eden's base. But then it hit me. I vaguely remember when we first actually made our way up the mountain, there may have actually been a pair of horses. Now, I don't think I'll ever be able to truly replace my loss, but I didn't want to go without a horse at this point, not after I'd already made all the effort into building up the stairway up and down the mountain. So I decided to see if I could indeed find another horse roaming along the mountain. And you know what? That was when my luck did turn around, as I found another horse. I think this might have been from that original 2 that I mentioned before. And oh my goodness, she was beautiful. She was so fast, and I was so happy that I do finally have a trusty steed once again, and this time I'm going to take no chances and try and take as much extra precaution as possible. So I think what I really need to do now is head back up to our base and actually start constructing a stable so that we at least have somewhere safe to leave our new steed when we're not actually riding her out in the wild. And I think I'll also need to think about probably some horse armor. Now, I can't remember if this is something you have to actually craft or if it's something that you'll find, but I'll sort that out. But now, for now, let's actually start figuring out what we want to do about a stable. So we actually have this area here that's currently unpopulated, and I've just kind of cleared it out, and I want to experiment and see where we go. It's actually been quite a long time since I've actually last just tried to build something really directly in the survival world without really thinking too much about it or trying to design something in any great detail in a creative world. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but if I'm honest, I'm quite a perfectionist and I struggle sometimes to just kind of go with the flow really and sort of see how things come out. So actually in the world, I've always just found it a little bit easier when in creative spaces just to kind of spend extra time and just get things just right. But sometimes you really don't need to worry about getting everything perfect first time. You can just keep iterating and changing and adding and as and how you really like. And that's basically all I've been doing here. I mean, first I started adding in the birch signs at the top for this little bit of detail, and then I figured it was too light really against the acacia logs, so I changed it to oak, and then I found I liked that much better. And that's all I'm really doing in this build full stop, is just kind of seeing what works and doesn't. I haven't really laid out a proper color palette. I haven't really done any kind of prep at all for this build. I just gathered up a few resources that I like the looks of, and then just started placing down some blocks and kind of seeing what worked and what didn't. And you know what? Taking a step back really to look at it from afar like this, and I'm actually really liking how it's starting to come along. But there were still a few things that I wasn't quite sure on. Like I started adding in bricks really for the sort of wall elements of the barn, but I wasn't really so keen on it, so I decided to actually swap it out and add in the equivalent instead with the mud bricks. And I actually think that actually looks a lot better. It just goes in so much nicer with the barrels that I've got at the bottom, and I think it even ties in more with the acacia logs as well. And I swapped out the wall blocks I had as well next to the acacia logs from the brick walls to the actual new tough walls, and I think that looks much better. But the bit I was struggling the most is roofs. I don't know what it is about roofs. I think roofs might actually be the bane of my building experience when it comes to Minecraft. I always struggle the most with roofs. They always look too rigid or too... I don't know what it is, but I always struggle the most with them, and they always take me the longest. I probably spent longer on the roof for this barn than I did the whole rest of it all combined. So yeah, but again, it's just trial and error. So I've just kind of been adding in different things. Like at first I was all acacia slabs on top, but then I realized that was just too much. It just needed a bit of contrast or something to break up a little bit. So I started adding in some spruce there on the sides, just kind of break it up a little bit. I added in some stair blocks and some wall blocks on top, and that actually made all the difference. And then even at the front bit on this little lip, I actually added in a few brick slabs just to even break up that acacia sort of look a little bit, and it's made all the difference, and I'm really happy. So the final addition to add is just a source of water for our horse, and I think now it is finally done. This episode really has been a blast. We've really gone back to the basics and tackled so many of the little things that I've just not really thought of or really tried in quite a while. And it's been so much fun. We've got a lot done, and I am so looking forward to what we can get up to next. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Welcome back everyone. In last episode we teamed up with one of my best friends and laid out the foundations for our starter base on top of this beautiful mountain outcrop, and I even found myself a trusty steed and built a stable to keep us safe. But today we're going to be diving headfirst into the trial chambers for the first time ever, and I am so excited to see what awaits us. And after that, we'll be returning back to our base and hopefully turning it into one of the coziest, most peaceful starter bases possible. It's going to be an adventure packed with fun, challenges, and creativity. So let's jump right in. So it's been a little bit of a while now between episodes, longer than I normally would have liked, but you know, sometimes life just throws you a curveball. Still, I have been busy, or a little bit busy should I say, between episodes, and I got to work and I built this little chicken coop to house all of our chickens. in the same themes as our stable that we built last time. And I have to say, I'm really pleased with how it turned out. It's something so small, but I think it really helps make all the difference and polish off this little corner. And it certainly fits in with the whole sort of strategy, I suppose, for this series that I mentioned last time around just enjoying the game, taking things slow, and getting back to the basics. Just having some fun. No rush, just going with the flow. And speaking of which, it was actually time to go and meet up with Eden for an adventure, as we're off to find him a horse. Since last time, we actually decided that we wouldn't use any elytras to travel across this world, sticking purely to more traditional transportation methods like horses and railway systems. So, at least for now, it was all about finding the perfect trusty steed.
9.9 speed, 2.8 jump, 8.53 jump, 6.6 and 2.
That's such a good mod.
4.
Ooh.
6 and 4.
Wow, that's a jumper.
Jump, that's a good jump. Let's test this jump. Oh!
Whoa!
That's a good jump, that is, isn't it?
That is one heck of,
This
that's
is
one hell of a jump.
so slow.
Hey, watch this. Whee!
Come back here. Come. Oh my word, this is unbearably slow.
It's like a donkey slow.
Oh my word. You're literally turning into an ant in the distance so quickly.
I'm leaving you in the dust. But that jump though, that is insane. That's like, you could actually go up a cliff. Go and go up the cliff. See how, yeah.
Look at this, yeah. So ready. Oh my word, that
is cool.
was 3 blocks. That is pretty impressive jump.
That is pretty cool.
Okay, the name is not fitting.
No?
It's not fitting because the horse is slow.
Okay. I want to know what you've done now. What have you named your horse? Triumph Daytona 675.
It's my bike.
Oh god! I was thinking it sounded familiar, but I couldn't quite think where. And you said it. Well, it's personal to you.
That is my motorcycle.
So there's your Triumph Daytona 675, and then there's my Nymeria.
That is twice as fast as my powered motorcycle.
But let's see what happens then. Like, yeah, I'm interested to see the breeding then stats.
Yeah, because I think we'll still have to get more horses eventually to do more varieties. There we go.
Oh, it's like a bit of both. It's got Nymeria's legs, and it's got Triumph Daytona 675's like a colour.
I might have to change that name. It's such a silly.
No, keep it. You got to keep it. You've got to keep it now. Still very much in the mood for an adventure. Once we'd quit horsing around, me and then started hunting for a trial chamber, since I've actually not done one yet today, and I was itching to actually go ahead and trial one out. So after we'd found one, we then started digging down and then got started. Ah! Should have probably expected something like that to happen.
Bed. I'm gonna fill up all the blocks and stuff. Barrels with it.
All right, I'm good to go. So, wait, I see. So it just activates like that.
Yeah, literally as you get close to it.
Okay. Oh, that's a straight up breeze.
Oh no, it's a breeze. Sorry.
Yikes!
Oh shoot!
Where'd it go?
Yeah,
Where'd
be
it
careful when you jump.
Oh,
Be careful when you jump attack, because if the thing goes below you, his charge, it will send you flying.
Yikes!
Because we haven't got the ominous potions.
Yep.
It'll only be 2 of them.
2 of them, right? Okay. Whoa, is that damage? Or was it no? Just as you blow it back. Whoa! Okay. This guy is awesome.
That's it done. Yeah. So now you see the thing opens. And
oh wow, we get some potatoes. Oh, I always wanted some potatoes.
Yeah. So that was a really, really good one. Skeletons.
Oh, lovely.
Oh,
and a zombie spawn as well.
Oh, we've gone too close to the start.
We got both. Yikes. I can see how this can quickly get intense. And I'm being attacked by another skeleton. Get wrecked.
Oh, baby zombies as well.
No, not baby. Definitely not baby ones. No, thank you. Baby zombies can go back to the hell that they came from.
There's still a skeleton to kill.
Might be the one I knocked out. I
below.
might have knocked him off. Is he
Yeah.
down? Is he down?
Oh, see, that's got a key. This one's got a key mark. Come to this one.
Where's?
One at the end, over here.
Oh, it was a good
This
job you
one.
checked.
Key.
Oh, nice.
There's one. There's the other. Chainmail. Most useless armor in the game. Right. So now let's see if we can get an ominous potion from that. So we can try the other one.
All right, so this is literally all there is really to it without the ominous, just random spawns.
Yeah. And the ominous is the exact same, but instead of these keys, it will drop the ominous key, which unlocks the ones up there.
Where do we
Red
actually put this?
candle.
Where do we actually put the keys? Just in the spawns
No,
themselves?
not in these. No. So we walked past a couple down here, I think. So you'll know the things that have keys. If you go near them, open
Okay.
you use the key on it.
Ooh, what do I get? What do I get?
Ooh, wind charges.
Wind
So that's-
charges,
that's what the breeze fire at you.
some honey bottles, and wind charges. I'll take wind charges. I'm happy with that. And some arrows of poison,
And then
which
I
is not going
think
to do anything. It's the undead, are they? And then
I can use it as well.
I've got another key as well. I think. Can I use both?
No, I think that's it. I think it's on. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
come-
it.
yeah.
I'll find another one of these, which is one up here, but there is more spawns up here, I think. Yeah, there's a
Him.
spawner behind it. Oh, and there, and a breeze spawner there.
Oh.
Careful, Mark, you've just activated the skeleton spawner.
Oh, great. We're going to have a horde, aren't we?
I'm going to deal with the skeletons first. The breeze doesn't do much damage, the skeletons do over time.
Oh, sorry.
Right,
Ooh, how many spawners are there? Just the two?
just two in this one.
And we've got another breeze.
That's it, skeletons are done with, so it's just breeze.
Oh. Okay.
Nothing of note on that spawner. Oh, there's some more up here.
Oh, nice. I've not got any more keys there. So
Arrow and a book. No, that's it. Oh, found a spawner.
oh, okay. So there's more. All right.
Keys.
Ooh, extra keys.
We'll see if we can get you a ominous potion as well.
That would be cool.
Oh no, this is like a spidery one.
Oh no.
Oh, it's the poisonous spiders.
Yeesh.
This could be bad. This could
This
be
could
bad.
be very bad.
I'm stuck in the corner.
Easy does it. Easy. No, I got poisoned.
Oh, that was me. Sorry, move.
That's all right. It's all right.
Banner pattern guster. What on earth was that?
It was me drinking honey. I didn't even know you could do that. That's a new one.
That was a very odd noise. Came
A
out.
very odd noise. Oh,
Oh, I suppose you go further.
I think if you can do a jump with it as well. I think it's like a massive jump boost. If you
And yeah,
you can jump up onto high levels and stuff.
I tried drinking the ominous potion and just see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll get more potions out at the end of it anyway. So
Right. But
Okay.
now it's going to be extra difficult. Oh, and it's skeletons. Oh, it's all blue.
oh no, is that going to be the new? Oh no, the what do you call it, the frozen ones, isn't it? The
No, it's just normal skeletons, but they have got enchanted gear and armor, it looks like.
oh,
Oh, and
given
there's...
a random boost, some effect. I don't know what that is. Wind
boost
charged.
Yeah, so that means the stuff that's going to drop above your head. So if you hear kind of whistling noise, you need to keep moving because it means basically wind charge is prepping above your head.
Ah,
Like that effect there.
brilliant. What does that actually
If I
mean?
go into it now, wind charge, if you keep an eye above my head every now and then, yeah, see?
Oh,
And
it's up
mine.
above. I didn't even notice that. That's
Yeah.
that's
Then
right.
If you stand too long, if you hear whistling, keep moving.
Hey, he's done. Oh, come on. It's baked potatoes again and steak.
Right, one down, I think.
You literally got baked potatoes and a golden carrot again. Okay, right, let's do it.
If you step back, you can see. If you step back a little bit, so you can see where you get given.
Okay. In it goes. Revolting.
Ooh. Emerald.
Emeralds. Some more hours of slowness. I think I picked up some more wind charges as well. Okay, not terrible, not terrible. Let's see what you get.
Yeah. Come on, a disc.
Ooh,
Emerald.
okay. You're the other
Emerald block.
disc. Oh, an emerald block. What disc is it?
Lana Rain Creator.
Okay, yeah, because there's some new, I can't remember how many new discs they added, but I've got one of them. I think you've got the other.
Trial runs now completed, we then both headed back to our base to then start checking out the spoils of our adventures.
Yeah, I could jam to this.
Yeah, I like this one a lot. And the thing is, if you come out here, you can still hear it, and it really fits the area.
Oh, it really does.
I kind of want to build a contraption where it just loops playing this, but I think I'll get sick of it.
Oh.
Oh my word. Oh. Oh.
This is cool. All right, now I don't know which is my favorite actually. I like this. This is a drop.
Love it.
This is a banger. I want this when I'm driving to work.
I want this when I'm working full stop. Just have this on this on loop.
Banger.
Love it. I've actually got this in my playlist on my phone. I have actually got this. In my playlist.
It is a brilliant one.
Oh, I
Right, so
love
that's
it.
what we're doing. Our first big project together is we're going to dig out some more area here, make a proper jukebox machine, and collect as many discs as possible.
Yeah, I think we have to. I think we've definitely got to.
Project. We are going to be the music base.
What about like one of those? Because you can do like the observers with the redstone lamps or stuff above them, so you can make like a dance floor.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Mark, I can't believe it's like we're starting a club in Minecraft.
We're starting a club. There's a title of a YouTube video. I made a nightclub in Minecraft with my friend.
Yes. I love it already.
Jamming session completed, meaning then made another realization around one of the new armor trims.
This is the first trimmed item I've got. That's like his
Why do
face.
I
That's
have-
Mumbo Jumbo.
I have Mumbo Jumbo on my feet. What the hell?
You have Mumbo Jumbo on your feet.
That is the weirdest thing ever.
That is. Did they do that intentionally? Is that intentional? Is this something?
I have no idea.
And Mojang is a fan. Is a massive fan of Mumbo Jumbo. Like did
Confirmed.
confirmed. Yeah.
Now you should also have a Mumbo Jumbo copper on your feet. You do. You do. Look at that.
After all the fun and shenanigans that me and Eden had, we then decided to get a little bit more serious and actually start tidying up our base. Now, one of the things that had really been standing out from last time was the face here to our little starter base, and it was just looking a little bit stony and bland. So we had the idea just to really add a little bit of foliage, just a mixture of leaves, and me personally, I'm a big fan of all the azalea leaves, so we both agreed and decided that we'd start adding some of these, just kind of spreading it over, and just to kind of make it a little bit more like one with nature, and just kind of blend things in a little bit and just make things a little bit more interesting to look at. And you know what, I have to say, I think that's already making a big difference. So whilst I finished off the front there, we also started thinking about what we'd want to do with this empty space here. Even got busy and started clearing out a area here in the middle so that we could actually build a tree. So a long time ago, I actually made this hanging tree design, and I made this a while ago as part of a short, but I never actually got around to building it in on a world. It was something that I built especially for, I think it was the Minecraft 1.20 update. So I thought it'd actually be perfect to add into this world. So I think it'll really help to really add to this whole peaceful, chilled out vibe that we've got going on our base up here. So we got together, we actually collected up all the resources for it, and then I got constructing. You really can't go wrong with a custom tree in Minecraft. I mean, it's a great way to branch out. So long as you believe in yourself. Sorry, I couldn't help myself, but wow, this is looking magical at night with the shaders on, and I am so happy with how this came out, and I'm really glad I decided to build the tree design here in this world. I mean, I have no idea what my horses are doing. They seem to be doing what horses do.
just balancing on the fence gates here. But yeah, I'm really happy with how the tree came along, and I think it really adds again to this whole peaceful and relaxed, chilled vibe that me and Eden have been going for with our mountain outcrop. And I think this really is inspiring me to kind of keep building this theme and just kind of see what other little details that we can add along the way. I think I know what's missing, and you know, we've got the tree here and I think it is looking really good, but I think there's one thing that could really kind of add to this, and I think that could be something like a stream sort of bubbling up from the roots of the tree. I mean, we've got this whole little area here, and I'm thinking that we could have like a spring just kind of breaking it out of the ground, and I think that could work really well. Something maybe along here, and I think you should have it just like kind of snake along and creep its way down through our little wheat field. So something like this, just so that we can have, you know, just a little trickle of water. Nothing too crazy, not like a full like a river or anything like that, just like a little stream. So I think if we just dig this out a little bit, and I'm just kind of making this up as I go along really. I don't really have much of a plan, but I'm thinking maybe it's kind of blending in some of the packed mud, some of the coarse dirt maybe, and just kind of seeing if that works. And then we'll use some of like the sort of the mossy cobblestone slabs and stairs, and even the new tough slabs as well, just kind of break things up a little bit and build a bit of like a stream banks and stuff going along around the edges there, just to kind of blend between the sort of the mossy grassy surroundings and then the stream itself. So I don't want this to be too wide or anything like that. It's just something narrow and just kind of winding its way down. But you know, I think this is there's okay. Right, that scared the hell out of me. Wow. Okay, yeah, that was a creeper. And okay, let's make sure our chickens can't get out. Okay, I did not see that one coming. Ooh, this is the second episode now where I've had a real creeper scare. I mean, the first time I got absolutely obliterated in a villager's house and I died. This time, thankfully, I didn't die, but okay, that really did cause a little bit of damage there. But it's okay, it's all good. I can get this sorted in no time. Okay, crisis averted. I've now pretty much repaired all of the creeper damage, so that's all sorted, thankfully, and luckily it wasn't really too bad all in all, so no trouble at all. Anyway, now it's time to actually start filling in the stream now with some water. I want to have like the top bit sort of bubbling up over here, and then have it sort of flowing, sort of winding its way through the wheat field, and then kind of falling off the edge of the cliff down the mountainside. So I think something like this, I think it is going to do the trick. I mean, there is probably a bit more left to do, kind of just to blend everything in a bit better and just kind of prettify up a little bit, if that's a word that you can use. But yeah, I think this is actually starting to look pretty good. So I kind of have a good idea now of kind of the way I want it to flow and go. But I've got a few ideas now, so I'm going to jump to that and we'll start adding that in. Okay, so with the stream now pretty much almost there, I had another idea around building in a little pond. As in between clips, I mean, I actually found a lush cave with Eden and we found some axolotls. And so I figured actually if I make a little pond underneath the tree on the other side here, then this could be a perfect home for them. It could be a nice, calm and peaceful spot for them just to chill out really on top of the mountain. So I'm trying to make kind of like an odd sort of shape, because I know kind of the ponds and all that, they're not really usually kind of like an even perfect shape. So I'm just trying to kind of break it up a little bit and just kind of make it a little bit crooked and sort of really experiment. And this is not really my sort of go-to area of building. So I'm having a lot of fun actually, because I'm just experimenting at this point. So yeah, I'm just really just kind of playing around, seeing what works and what doesn't. And you know, a few times I've kind of tried a few blocks. Like I think I've been adding in clay like this, and I thought originally maybe that would look good because you kind of see it in a lot of the rivers and stuff that naturally sort of generates. But actually, I think the clay might be a little bit too light. So I actually think that I will take that out and instead just keep some more of the sort of the muddy, like the coarse dirt and the packed mud blocks, because I think that actually looks quite a bit nicer. But yeah, so I think something like this. And then really we've got to start thinking about how we can sort of add in a bit more life and stuff to it around the area around it. So I'm thinking if we start adding in some bushes and adding in some like lilacs and I don't know, different flowers and stuff, then I think that's going to go a long way, and also sort of bone meal up the area a little bit as well, just to kind of add in a bit more of this sort of foliage and stuff. So I think that's starting to look pretty good. Are you ready for it? Our pond is almost done now, so we're almost ready to give our axolotls a little home. But I've been busy. I've been adding in, as I said, a lot of foliage. I'm adding in some of the lilacs and flowers and stuff, and you know, even some drip leaves and stuff around the edge, and some bamboo. Although I do need to add some string on top of them to stop them growing out of control. But I think this is actually starting to look really good. And I even just chucked in some like cherry blossom petals for good measure, because I think they really do add a nice pop of color. I mean, I love them. They're such a great addition to the game. So I'm just thinking maybe a few more of these driplets. I think they look really good in this sort of context. I think it looks perfect in this sort of setting. And then I'll maybe place a few of them in there. And then I think it's time for the axolotls. So there you go, guys. Hope you enjoy your new home on top of the mountain. And I think this is going to be perfect. So it really does finish things off nicely. I think this little corner of our mountain outcrop. And of course, it gives the axolotls a nice home to enjoy and a perfect spot for us to chill whenever we feel like it. I might have to add some sort of maybe like hanging swing or something, or some benches around here, because, you know, it's too good a spot to not really sort of sit back and kind of enjoy and make the most of it, really. So yeah, I am really happy with how this has come out. You know, it's really reminded me of just why I enjoy this game so much. You know, it's not all about big massive builds. Sure, it's fun to make and design and all that, but sometimes it's nice to just be super chilled, lay back and just kind of go with the flow and take things slow. I didn't mean to make that rhyme, but there we go. But with all the progress that we've made today and all the fun that we've had on our adventures, it is now time to go. So until next time, I will see you later. Bye-bye. Welcome back, everyone, and my best friend and I are on a mission to create the coziest mountain outcrop base in Minecraft, and so far it's been an incredible journey from the initial blank canvas to what we have now. But in our last episode, we brought in some peaceful vibes to our world with a custom tree and a serene pond for our pet axolotls, our adorable finds from early adventures. But today, it's time to take things further, and we're adding in some much-needed infrastructure to our base, as well as building up a cozy greenhouse and a few other surprises. So if you're ready for some laid-back building, creative fun, and plenty of inspiration, then hit that like button and subscribe, and let's jump right on in. So good to be back again. Well, there's a lot of things we need to do today, and we really need to get started. So I suppose one of the main things really from our base is that when we first started out on this mountain outcrop, we started building in some of these starter farms, just something to get us going with a mixture of the different crops. And you know, it's done us well, but I think its time has come to actually be replaced with something a little bit better. But for this, obviously, we're going to be needing to build a few different farms, but I don't really want to have any farms kind of built up over in the open, because I think that would just going to ruin any kind of the aesthetics that we've been going for. So what I'm thinking about doing is, instead of building up anything up above, is I'm actually going to be sneaky, and I'm going to build something pretty on the surface, and then I'm going to dig down. And I think if we just dig down below the farms that we've got here, I think we can actually fit in some actual sort of redstone-based farms, just to kind of give ourselves a few different resource supplies. I'm not going to do anything like massive farms or anything like that, because, well, I don't really have the energy for it, and to be honest, I don't really need it. Like, me and Ian, we only really have a small amount of needs, really, so I'm thinking just some small general farms that sort of just running in the background, just continuing churning out a few resources here and there, I think would do the trick. But as always, I forgot my torches, so we need to grab those, and then we're just going to dig down a few levels. I don't need to go down too deep, but I'm just thinking just enough space so that we don't have to worry about bumping our heads with the surface. As probably some of the farms might need a little bit of headroom, but I'm thinking, so I'm trying to think about what I'm going to need most, and I think one of them is definitely going to be bamboo, probably, but also probably definitely some like sugarcane or stuff like that, because, you know, we're going to need a lot of paper. As I kind of envision like we're needing a lot of bookshelves in the future for sort of decorative purposes, so probably having a lot of supply of paper for making those books is going to make sense. And then I think probably a lot of the farms that we're going to need are going to be quite orientated to kind of the style that we're building in. So we're definitely going to need, I think, a bone meal farm, because, well, we're going to need to probably farm up a lot of different flowers, a lot of different, like, you know, like all the sweet berries and the glowberries and all those sort of things. And all those sort of farms, they all need that one common ingredient, and that is the bone meal. So I think making a bone meal farm would make absolute sense for us, really. And maybe also we could fit in a moss farm as well. I'm not sure. We'll kind of see how we get along. But if we could do that as well, that would be pretty cool. But I think as well, probably the biggest farms are going to be, say, the bamboo farm, the sugarcane, and the bone mill. But for everything else, we're probably just going to be needing a few sort of like mini pod-based farms. You know, the sort of simple little ones we kind of stand at. It kind of activates some dispensers of bone meal, stuff like that. Like really simple stuff, but just allows us to kind of get a quick supply of all the good stuff that we actually need. With our hole pretty much now dug out beneath the surface for our farms, it was time to make a quick treacherous stop over in the Nether. And the Nether always terrifies me because, well, I've had so many deaths, usually involving lava, but sometimes not. But yeah, I just need to get up a little bit of quartz more than anything else because I've got absolutely 0 at the moment. And we're definitely going to be needing some for crafting up some like comparators, repeaters, and maybe a few other components because I also want to try out the new auto crafters. I can't exactly remember what they need, but they're probably going to need quartz, I'd imagine. So I'm thinking if I just get up a little bit of supply, enough for today, and then a little bit of surplus probably for any kind of like future projects. I think that we should do us, you know, and we've got fortune luckily on our pickaxe, or rather I'm borrowing Eden's pickaxe that he made for us to kind of use whenever we needed fortune free. So I think that's going to be perfect. We're definitely getting more than enough than what we need really in no time. And of course, get the added bonus, I guess, of the quartz. Oh, I need to watch out for the lava. That's the one thing I always hate in the Nether when you're digging through like the Netherrack and you get those bursts of lava. And of course, it flows so much faster. And, you know, and it always normally catches me out. So I always try to remember to keep a few blocks on standby to kind of fill it out. But I also need to gather up a few of the shroom lights. Just because they're a nice little lighting block really for kind of inside of our farms. Because they need a little bit of light, I think, to grow. So I thought these would probably do all right because I don't have any kind of like, you know, fancy stuff like frog lights or sea lanterns or anything like that. So I figured that shroom lights would probably be the easiest way to kind of get a block. I mean, I know it's probably could do like redstone lamps, but you'd have to have like levers and stuff behind them. Yeah, I think shroom lights should be all right. I just need a little bit of sand for some glass. And then I think finally we need a few buckets of lava, and you'll see why we'll need that in a minute. And then it was crafting time. Resources acquired. I figured it would be best to start with something simple like the sugarcane farm, since I can pretty much build that from memory, as you only really need the observers to kind of check when the sugarcane reaches a certain height, and then the pistons to actually break it. But the bit that I was most interested in was the auto crafter. That was the bit that I mentioned that I'd never really done anything with since the new update, so I was kind of itching to kind of try it out, and I don't really think I'm going to be doing anything super complex with it, but I think what I had in mind was just kind of just like auto crafting the sugarcane into paper, because I think that'll be most useful for us. So as I understand, I think we just need to pulse the block next to it. And I think we need to take the comparator output from the auto crafter itself. And then I think the bit that we also need to do is we need to have, and I've seen some people do something similar to this by adding in a second autocrafter like this to basically take its output and kind of like match the two together so that we can kind of map the slots. So I think it's, yeah, so you disable the slots, and then I think once we put the sugarcane in those 3 slots, then we'll be able to get the sort of the correct output strength that we want to measure against. And then our main crafter then can then only get pulsed when it reaches the same output level as the sort of the input one that we've got going into it here. So let's disable that now, and we'll get that sugarcane in here in these 3 slots. So that's lit up now, so that looks like it's done the trick. And now I think if we actually place in some sugarcane into the system, it should actually start crafting. So let's try that out now and see what happens. Well, it seems to be doing the trick. I mean, it's activating. It's definitely activating, so that looks promising. We're definitely getting a steady pulsing of the autocrafter, and let's have a look in the chest. Yay, we got paper. Nice. Okay, so that's actually much simpler than I originally thought it was, so that's going to be, I think, really useful, actually. So I guess any kind of farms then we really make in the future, we can just use that to either kind of like compact stuff, I guess, or even make things a little bit more complex. So that is so cool. Like, yeah. I mean, I think it was the Create mod that always had the autocrafter for ages, so maybe they've taken some inspiration from that, like Mojang. But, you know, it's really good they got something native in the game now. It definitely is going to make lives a little bit easier, I think, when it comes to the farms and just kind of managing the resources. But, yeah, so we've got our sugarcane farm now up and running, so I think it's going to crack on now and get this second farm built, and that is our bamboo farm. Now, I didn't think there was much point in kind of showing me building the whole thing again, because it's basically the exact same like farm design as the sugarcane, because it's the same process. You check when the bamboos reach a certain height, and then you break it. And they'll do the same thing here with the autocrafter, but instead we are just basically like compacting all of the bamboo into the bamboo blocks, because I think it's probably going to be what we're going to be needing the most, because we're going to use that probably for like a bit of a wood supply. And then, really, it's just time to start focusing on our little mini pod farms like I mentioned before. Okay, so we're back, and I've been busy, and I made 4 of the different pods for now. So some for the tall flower plants, and then 1 for the glowberries. I did want to get an extra one in for the rose bushes at some point, but I actually don't have any roses at the moment, so I'll probably have to wait till a little bit later on in the episode. Perhaps we'll go foraging for some, because I'm probably going to need some later for the next big project that we really have lined up after we finish with all our farms. But see, the one big problem with these farms is that, well, I can't even fully test them at the moment because we are lacking the bone meal. So I guess really that means we should just get on and start building up the bone meal farm. Now, I did follow a tutorial for this one because I wasn't sure how to make it off the top of my head. So I will leave a link down to it in the description down below because, you know, it's super easy to follow. And it's certainly one that's going to probably meet our needs and should hopefully give us enough bone meal to kind of fuel up any of the farms that we have. And also give us some extra for anything else we might need to do. Okay, so the farm's now pretty much built up, and I just need to fuel it up with a tiny bit of initial bone meal. So I did have a tiny amount left over. So we just pop that on in and just place a moss block on top. Then I think that should be everything we need to actually start testing this farm. So if we find a way out. Okay, we'll jump on top of these trapdoors, off we get, and then we should turn it on. It should just kick in. We should start getting some stone generated, and it should turn into moss. Well, we got some moss. It should have swept that away. What's gone wrong? Okay, let's turn this off a second. Right. Okay, right. So we're not supposed to have lava flowing out the side of the farm. That's definitely not quite right. Okay, yep, okay, that'll be why we're not getting proper stone generated. That does not look right at all. Okay, so I probably messed something up. I did make like a Limatica schematic for it, like, you know, just so I could follow it a little bit easier myself in the survival world. And I probably have messed something up. Let's see, shall we? Okay, yeah, okay, spot the difference between the left and the right. Okay, on the left we've got our pistons facing upwards, and on the right we've got the pistons facing in the correct directions. Okay, so that's going to do anything that we, you know, need. So let's get that corrected, because that's definitely not going to be pushing stone anytime soon. Okay, so let's get that sorted, and then hopefully we should be good to go. Okay, so that's actually looking quite a bit better. Now we're actually getting some proper moss generated. And we're also getting the stone that's properly populating in as well, so we should see that pop up again in a second. Yeah, okay, that's starting to look really good. Okay, so now hopefully we should start seeing some bone meal feed back up into the system. And it looks like there is. Okay, brilliant. So it will take a little bit of time, I think, for this to fully stock itself up. So we'll probably pop away, do a few errands or something, and then come back and then check to see if we've got any in the chest. Right, so it's been a few minutes now, and I did a little bit of tidying up around these farms. I put down a little bit of floor. Well, I started on a bit of a floor. Not fully finished, but just to sort of mess around with something a little bit. And let's go and have a look, shall we, to see what's actually in the chest. Okay, yeah, we've actually got some meal in there. Awesome. Okay, so we're actually getting some profit out of the system. That's good news, because I was starting to wonder when it was actually going to start putting out some bone meal into the chest, but you know, that seems to be working nicely. So yeah, should have plenty over time, I suppose, to kind of handle all our little farms and need the bone meal to kind of supply them. And now we really have now got a good selection of, I suppose, initial like general farms, I guess, to really kind of help us going from here on in. So it was actually from there that I actually met up with Eden. Now, I'm not going to spoil anything because we had a big adventure over in the Nether, and it's something that we've been working on together as part of a bigger project, something that we should hopefully be seeing in the next episode. So yeah, no spoilers there, but let's just say we managed to acquire a lot of netherite ingots and the smithing upgrade templates during our adventures. So I spent a bit of time and started upgrading my gear as much as possible with the little enchanting setup that I had. And then Eden also managed to acquire me a few more books so that I could just kind of add them as well. And then finally, I applied the netherite upgrade. Okay, so I'm almost ready now to actually start building the main project of today. But first, me and Eden actually needed to clear out a little bit of space ready for it, since we've been chatting a little bit about where best we wanted to build it. And we decided it was going to go basically where these starter farms are. So it was time for the starter farms to be torn up, as we need a little bit of space for it. It's going to be a sort of medium-sized build. It's not going to be like massive, but it does need a little bit of room, and we want to be careful not to sort of cut off any of the space for the paths around it so that it kind of fits in more naturally. But the one thing that I was missing was a bit of oxidized copper. So I started just kind of placing down a load of copper blocks just to kind of leave them for a while and then come back to them later. But it was between those moments that, well, we did a lot of building, and I forgot to hit record. So, yeah. We actually made a lot of progress, as Eden had a really good idea around building up some grapevines and sort of like a berry bush farm area to kind of replace the wheat fields that we'd had previously, as he felt that they would actually fit in a lot better with the sort of the tree and the ponds and that we built last episode. And I definitely agree. I think it was a great idea.
and I'm in love with what we've done together. I mean, this just looks awesome. I mean, it is better than I could ever possibly imagine for this mountain outcrop, and it's definitely fitting in with all of that chilled, like laid-back vibes that we've been really going for strongly in this season. So, you know, I'm really happy this came out. So we built a whole berry bush area, we built out the grapevines, and then even also built out this really cool little forge area. I mean, it's to replace that we had a little animal pen, like farm area underneath there previously. So Ian replaced that now with this custom forge, and he's got some furnaces and stuff in here, and this looks so cool. And again, it just really fits in with everything so nicely. And then finally, he also transformed our Nether portal and built this really awesome kind of like dark and broody like portal area that's into the side of the mountain. And it's just so cool. I mean, it's so much better than the sort of bland portal that we had just kind of laying on the side of the, you know, our pathway previously. And it's sort of like, yeah, bleeding out into the overworld. And I love that. It just... it's like a perfect little twist, kind of call it the chilled, peaceful vibe, and you've got this little dark, broody corner, and I love it. But anyway, it was finally time now to actually start building the main project of today, and that is a greenhouse to house all of the different plants in Minecraft, and like kind of all of our sort of green-based items, and also as a secondary purpose to basically be the entrance to our redstone farm area down below. I am so happy. I've really been trying to challenge myself and build more in an organic sort of like, you know, like different style where nothing is sort of totally symmetrical and there's lots of little like details and other bits in. And I think I've nailed it. I think I might have actually finally nailed it. You know, I've been really, you know, historically I've struggled a lot with kind of, you know, my builds a little bit about making them more organic and kind of natural looking. But I think I've cracked it. I'm actually so happy with how this came out. And, you know, I've really tried to sort of break things up a bit and making this look like it's sort of aged, but also sort of fits in well with the surroundings. And, you know, made use of all the new copper grates because they look so cool in this sort of build. They fit in nicely with the glass and it kind of ties together nicely. They can look a little bit like air vents. So, you know, I think they work really well in this. And I've gone kind of quite heavy on the sort of the spruce blocks really, and the oak and stuff. And I think that also is a sort of nice sort of added bonus. It fits in nicely with like the new packed mud blocks and stuff. I say new, they've been around for a little while now, but you know what I mean. They kind of they fit in nicely with that. And then obviously we all have our little details with like the barrels and the sides and like the composters and stuff. And that's gonna be really cool, I think. Because I mean, well, having the barrels on the side is gonna be awesome, I think, for us, because we can actually use that as like some storage as well, kind of built into the walls. So it's kind of like a nice little secondary purpose there. But I think now that we've actually got this built, we need to kind of keep going really from here. I mean, I want to start getting this decorated. And, you know, like, we can't just leave it empty without all the extra details and stuff. So one of the things I was kind of missing, I mentioned this before, was roses. So I figured I'd go on a quick forage to find some so that we can then take this back to our little redstone farm area and farm up a few more of them. So if we just grab a bit of bone meal here, and then if we just replace the sunflower, because I don't really need the sunflower right now, we'll put in the rose bush. And then all we got to do is just kind of stock up this with a bit of bone meal. I'll just put a little bit in for now, we don't need loads. Snap on this little pressure plate, and here we go. We got our nice supply of rose bushes. I don't need tons right now. I think a few, because what I would like to do is I'd just like to add in a few. So I made these little planters on the outside of the greenhouse. So I think actually if we have a few like rose bushes and stuff in there, I think, yeah, that looks cool. I like that. Let's do a few more of those. So let's add a few more like this. I don't want to like overdo it, but I would just like to mix this up. So I think as we've got the rose bush here, I think also what might make sense is the sweet berry bushes, because I mean, obviously the red color of them, I think that should fit in quite nicely. So we add in a couple of these, obviously a little bit smaller as well than the sort of tall flowers as well. So I think that works quite well. Definitely add in lots of ferns, because, you know, ferns are nice and subtle. I mean, here and there we might stick in a few more cherry petals. the peonies, and yeah, and I don't know, yeah, a couple like that. We haven't really, because we've got the signs there, we can't actually have tall flowers there, so let's just put in a few more petals and stuff there. So that's kind of like the outside. The outside's kind of easy to tackle, really. There wasn't really too much to it, just like a few plants and stuff. But now the challenge of the interior really begins, because I want this to be really organic. I want to have like overgrown plants and stuff like growing up the sides of the greenhouse, like growing up the glass and along the roof. So, you know, I've got a lot of ideas, but I just need to kind of like bring them into reality now. So I think let's just start maybe something simple. Just start adding in some planters. I think if we use the moss blocks, we add a few of these like dotted around these sides. And I'm trying to think, like maybe just use some, yeah, let's just use some, try some spruce trapdoors maybe along the edge there to sort of like surround them. Yeah, definitely spruce trapdoors. I think that looks pretty good. And if we leave like at least a 1 block gap between the planters, then we can actually get the trapdoors on either side. I mean, it does kind of cover the barrel a little bit, but I think that's fine. We can still reach the barrel, still access it, so that's fine. That's not a problem. So yeah, let's add a few more. And then I think we can just add in some, I think some decorated pots could look quite nice. Because I mean, I love the decorated pots. And I think they certainly fit with this sort of theme. I mean, I had a few sherds kind of after our adventures in the last episode in the trial chambers. We had a few sherds available, so I thought may as well put these to use and make some pots. So yeah, I think that's quite good. And then we can also, I mean, we might be able to put some like flower pots within them maybe, or just like a lantern. Yeah, I've got some flower pots. Let's stick a couple in there. Oh, no, I didn't mean to put it inside it. I meant to, oh, how do you do it? Oh, you have to shift click. Oh, I'll shift click. Otherwise it pops them inside. I forgot that you could actually store items actually in the pots now. So I started messing around a little bit with the floor area as well. I wasn't exactly entirely sure what to do, but I'm thinking, again, pretty much a little bit similar to how we have it outside, and just have like a bit of like a mixture of the coaster and like some path blocks, a few like pattern mug blocks, maybe some podzol if we have some spare, and stuff like that, just to kind of make it look a little bit like worn and trodden, because, you know, maybe there's a bit of dirt spilled out as we've been working on the planters and stuff. So I think that kind of makes sense to have it a bit like that. So yeah, that's starting to look better, I think. Yeah. So replacing obviously all the stone and stuff that was there previously with something along those lines. I think that looks quite good. We've got some planters now in the middle. And then what I was also trying to do is add in some like little hanging pots, because I think, you know, in a greenhouse, you typically do see a lot of those like hanging things from the ceiling. So I've got, there's a neat little trick here. We can have like the chains, and then like a pot, and then where you can have like the little saplings and stuff in them. So that looks quite nice. Okay, I think we're really making some progress now. So I think the next bit really is just kind of making that sort of like the vines, like the overgrown plants, really, like I mentioned before. So if we just add in more of these like azalea leaves, I think the azalea leaves look perfect for this. Let's add a few of those, kind of spreading out from the plant in the middle. Then it really looks like it's like overgrown. It's kind of like creeping its way like up to the roof line there, and kind of like growing along and down the sides. I think that looks really cool and kind of adds to the whole vibes. I mean, and I also thought to add the spore blossom at the top there, so we got a little bit of particle effect as well. So I think that really does help, adds everything quite nicely. So we do need to add a little bit of light. So let's add in some lanterns, because I absolutely don't want any mobs spawning in here. That would be a disaster. So yeah, let's add a few of those in. And yeah, it's starting to look really good. It is really coming along nicely now. So at this point, really, I think we just need to keep trying to kind of tweaking and adjusting, really. Can I just build this out, really? So I don't want to overdo it. I'm really trying not to overdo it, but at the same time, I really wanted to make it look like it's full of life. Okay, so I think I really like how things are coming along now. I mean, we're really sort of in the final stretch now. It's kind of adding in the final little details and things, and this has been really fun so far. You know, this whole world has been a lot of fun. I've said it before at the sort of start of the series, but I've been really trying to go back to the basics, really just kind of like enjoy all the little things. I think I've missed a lot of this sort of stuff. I think I've just kind of gone straight into sort of lots of the bigger mega builds, and sort of they're quite repetitive, and I don't know. I've kind of lost kind of the spark of just kind of messing around with little bits and details and stuff in worlds, and this is exactly what I've been missing and what I've been wanting to go back to, because you know, this is so organic. This is kind of, there's nothing you can really plan ahead for this, because you really are in the moment and you're just kind of experimenting. And yeah, this is, I don't have the words, because I am chuffed to bits. I am so happy with it. You know, I mean, obviously I designed the greenhouse itself ahead of time, but I had no idea as to exactly what I wanted to do, like in the inside. So this is perfect, and it's just going to be fitting in so nicely with our base as a whole that me and Eden have got. I mean, and again, it fits in with the whole thing around having a build for a purpose. So obviously, this greenhouse is not just obviously for aesthetics. It's to provide our entrance to our redstone farms down below, but also I want to start moving in all of our green resources, all like our plants and stuff that might have been just kind of mixed away into our main storage, and actually have them stored in the greenhouse itself. So it's a reason to keep coming back to there. So that's what I really want to focus on. I want to make sure that if I build something in this world, it's something that serves a purpose that we're actually going to keep coming back to. And I think that's the key, because I mean, a lot of the time you'll build something for, I don't know, for show, some big build or something, and then you'll never come back to it. And it just has no life or no soul to it. So that's what I'm really trying to think about. Obviously, we did it with our stable. We had the stable for our horses, where we were really trying to get around the world by horseback, and so we've got that. Obviously, we've got a little chicken coop and stuff. We've got a little our tree and our pond for our axolotls, and now we've actually got our greenhouse for all of our plants and crop resources and stuff like that. So this is perfect. So really now what I need to do is I need to start placing down some signs to kind of mark out all the different items that I want to store in here. So I'm just going to try to loosely organize this. Obviously, I want to store. Basically, I want to roughly group things together. I'm not really too fussed about exactly sorting everything into separate barrels and things, but just having a rough sort of organization structure, things like keeping all the different the sapling stuffs together, like general misc things like vines and different crops and stuff, and then moss blocks and things together. So just stuff like that, really. So yeah. But I'm hoping that I think the hanging signs works quite well for this, because I wasn't really too sure. Obviously, normal signs definitely wouldn't work. I don't really have anywhere to place them, so because you can't place them on top of the trapdoors or anything like that I've got along the planters. So the hanging signs actually are perfect for this, because there's something that we can obviously hang over them. So I think that works quite nicely. The fact that you can hang them off the chains as well, even better. It just it just feels really joined up with everything. I'm very happy with this. Anyway, I'm just going to keep going now for a little bit and keep organizing, and then I will be right on back. Okay, so I think I have pretty much now everything organized the way I wanted to. I mean, we've got all our sort of rough categories now of all the different items and stuff, all the different plants and crops, and all the sort of main things that we might need. And I'm very happy with this. And we have quite a few barrels, one way or another, embedded into the wall. So I think we should have enough space for everything, sort of, at least for the near future. But if we ever run out of room, then we do also have the space below in the sort of redstone farm area. So if we ever want to add a bit of bulk storage, then we can do. For the time being, I think should do the trick. But the final thing we need to do is I think we need to actually name this greenhouse. So I'm thinking that I'll actually use a bit of a pun, and we'll name this Grow and Behold. So kind of like playing along the same things as the achievement Glow and Behold when you use the glow squid ink for the first time. So instead it's Grow and Behold for the sort of the plant-based themes. I think that works quite nicely. But anyway, with that's really all we have time for. So until next time, I will see you later. Bye-bye. Welcome back, everyone. In the last episode, my best friend and I made some incredible progress, building some much-needed infrastructure and crafting the ultimate cozy greenhouse to store all of our plant and natural resources. Plus, we took the next big step in transforming our peaceful mountain outcrop into something truly special. But today, we're kicking things up a notch. It's time to move beyond our humble starter hall and begin an exciting new project, and that is creating a hidden base deep inside the mountain itself. So if you're ready for some laid-back building and creative fun and more, then hit that like and subscribe button and let's dive right on in. And we're back again, and I feel like we've really got into a bit of a flow in the last few episodes about the progress that we've made really on our mountain outcrop base. But one thing that's kind of held true really is the fact that we really have outgrown our little starter hall here. I mean, we've got our cat, we've got the sort of a few chests and the bare minimum essentials really of any kind of starter base, but it's fair to say that I think we've really outgrown it at this phase. And me and Eden, we kind of be moving on to bigger and new projects, and we're starting to kind of really run out of space now, and we just want to expand and move on to the next exciting phase. So today is going to be all about doing that, and I didn't want to build any old base, because I mean, the last episode we did kick off and build our greenhouse, and I was super happy with how that turned out. I mean, it was perfect because it's now meant that we can actually store all of our green and natural resources within there, and that's kind of what I've been wanting to do a lot really, is kind of build something for a purpose and make it sort of functional but also aesthetically pleasing. But the thing is, we've run out of space up on this sort of outcrop area, so I'm thinking something that could be really cool and exciting is that we could actually make use of the fact that we're building on top of a mountain. We could actually build within the mountain itself. Because we've got so much space beneath here that's just kind of just sat there and not used. So I think that we will be building something hidden away, and perhaps we'll build some secrets or some sort of, I don't know, some sort of fun interactive ways to sort of get in and out of our base. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But first off, really, I just got to show this because Eden's been super busy in between episodes, and he's actually been starting to build a whole like storage hall here for us. I mean, this is awesome. I mean, I had only really been gone maybe a few weeks, and I come back and Eden's already kind of built out a storage hall for us, and this is looking epic, and it's going to be great for us to move all our stuff in there. But for our kind of main area, I'm thinking that I want to kind of carry on down this path. And we made this path back in episode 1, and I've not really got around to actually properly decorating. I mean, I made a bit of a walkway kind of going up from the sort of the base of the mountain, the base of the mountain up to the top. But the thing is, I never actually finished transforming the path itself. I kind of left it kind of unfinished, and I'd meant to really return to it, but I never really got around to it. So I think this is the perfect opportunity to finally tackle it head on and actually transform it and make it into something like, I don't know, something more filled with life and in sort of the same style that we've been building up above. Because then we actually have free reign to start building the entrance and the main sort of starting point of our interior base that we're going to be making inside of the mountain. So I think the best starting point really is just to kind of dig in a few blocks here and kind of like reserve the spot, so to speak, so that we kind of know where the entrance is going to be, so that when we start transforming the pathway down, we can join it up. We can join it up quite nicely, and hopefully it'll sort of fit in quite nicely. Now, for the sort of style that we're going to be going in today, I mean, I am really kind of winging it. If you kind of watched my last few episodes, you'll know that I'm really trying not to kind of plan too heavily, because I want to really just enjoy being in the world and experience things like firsthand and kind of just see where the inspiration sort of strikes and kind of see where things go. But I think I had kind of like a loose idea of kind of the style, so I'm thinking we're going to need quite a lot of spruce, so I'm going to craft up a load of signs, barrels and slabs and all that sort of stuff, because I think what I would like to do is kind of build up some sort of pillar structure, like archways going down. But before we can do that, really, we need to kind of just reshape the pathway a little bit, because it's kind of a little bit inconsistent. So I think if we kind of just open it up a little bit and just make it just feel a little bit more open, really, because I want it to kind of be like at least 3 blocks wide all the way down. So then we have enough space as we're going to going down through it, so it's like not too big, but it kind of feels like, I don't know, it's open, and I don't know, it just feels more, I'm not even sure what I'm trying to say here. But anyway, I think if we just go at least 3 blocks wide, it's going to give us enough space and going to fit at least with the scale that we've been building in. But I think the starting point is going to having these like sort of archway structures. So I want to just kind of have like strip logs. I think they look pretty good like this. And then we can have like a stair block each way. And then I was kind of like debating maybe just like slabs up on top. So maybe something like this. Will this work? I don't know if that's going to give us, if that's going to work. If we're going to build, I was kind of thinking about like a center beam going above it. So we might have to remove the slabs. But yeah, if we add some trapdoors as well, it's going to kind of add in a bit of depth and texture. Yeah, I'm going to remove the slab and let's replace it with this sort of center beam like this. I think that works better. Definitely looks cooler. I think more joined up. And then we kind of fill in the area above it. But then really what I would like to also do is I think add in some signs onto the sort of the top bits here. I don't know why I really never thought to use more signs in the past, but recently I've been using a lot of them in my builds to just kind of add in a subtle bit of extra depth. I mean, trapdoors sometimes can be a little bit too much, but the signs just, I don't know, like I said, they're a bit more subtle. You could almost like miss them at a glance, but I think it can make quite a big difference. So I think that's definitely a tip to kind of not underestimate how much of a difference they can actually make. I thought I could hear mob noises. I mean, the whole time that I was starting to build up those first few arches, I could have sworn I was hearing a lot of like zombie noises from somewhere, and I couldn't quite work out where it was coming from. But then as I sort of looked in free cam, I realized there was a whole unlit section. There's like a horde of zombies and everything just beneath us. So I think we definitely need to light up this section and clear them out. But anyway, things are starting to look pretty good. I've been busy and I've added in the next few arches all the way down. And I think this is already starting to make a big difference. I even took in the challenge of trying to build some diagonal ones. That's definitely a little bit harder than the sort of the straight across ones, but I think they've actually come out quite nicely. I had to kind of like adapt them ever so slight to make it work, but I think this actually comes together quite nicely. It fits in well with this sort of the winding bendiness of the path. But I think the next bit that I really want to tackle is the floor and the walls. So Eden's been kind of using this style where he's been mixing in like a subtle bit of like cobble and like the mossy cobble and stuff into the floor, and I really like that. So I'm thinking that's probably what I want to try and do, kind of working down the path. But first, I kind of need to round off these sort of the stairs. So I think I'm going to still keep that sort of tough stairs, that kind of working its way down, because I think they look quite nice like that. But then kind of like in the sort of sections in between, yeah, if we just kind of break things up a little bit and add in like that sort of same sort of pattern that Eden was using, I want to try and avoid like kind of too many like recurring like patterns of like the same sort of, I don't know, blocks. But at the same time, I kind of want to mix things up. I guess it's kind of one of those things you kind of really kind of trust the process. I mean, when I'm first sort of doing this kind of looks like a bit much. I'm not sure if I entirely like it. Like, it doesn't seem to feel 100% natural, but I guess if we just kind of keep working our way down and kind of, I guess we can look back then and kind of see if it is indeed actually looking all right, or if it's totally wrong and we need to change it out. Okay, I wasn't so sure at first, but actually now that I've gone all the way down, I've also done the walls a bit as well. Actually, I'm liking this quite a lot more. It's starting to feel a lot better. Yeah, so I was really trying to doubt myself at the beginning, but it's actually looking all right. So I think now what we need to do is just need to actually fill out the ceiling areas. We have a few kind of like open points here where we've kind of got these supporting archways, but then we've got this whole like empty void up above. So I think probably it's going to look best if we just kind of fill it in. Just something like this. I'm not really going to do anything too fancy, but yeah, just fill it in. And I think that was kind of like wrap things up nicely, at least along the actual path section itself. And then we can actually kind of move on to probably one of the other, like, I suppose more important things I really wanted to tackle, and that was kind of like the entranceway to this whole like kind of area going down below to the storage hall that Eden built, and then that pathway itself is going to lead through to our entrance to our future like interior base. Because at the moment we kind of got this whole like open section here, it's just kind of, I don't know, looking like a bit bland and empty. It kind of needs something there, I think. So kind of thinking like maybe something similar to like the archways that we've got down below, but I actually want to do this a little bit differently. I'm just going to use a bit of oak. And I'm actually going to mix in a bit of spruce. Now you might think spruce, but actually if you like strip it like this, then actually the oak and the stripped spruce work really well together. So something like this. And then I want to have a bit more of like an organic kind of like stretch, like cross beam between it, something like this, and kind of like a varying height as well. So like one block higher on the left side here, and then that kind of like works his way down to the right side. I think that looks quite good. So then we can add in some like slabs and stuff. Yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. And then of course some trapdoors. It goes without saying, you need some trapdoors to kind of mix things up a little bit. Yeah, so maybe some, I don't want to do too many, but yeah, something like that. I've even added a few like ladders on the side, you'll notice there as well. I quite like using I quite like using them for a little bit of extra details. Maybe some on the bottom. And then I think, what should we add? Probably some more signs. So yeah, let's see where we can add some. Maybe like one here. Is that gonna be too much? I don't know. I think that looks quite good. And then add some more here, and some more along the sides. Yes, this is looking good. Okay, this is already coming together quite nicely. Okay, and now we just need to add in some lanterns to light things up, because at the moment it's a little bit dark and dingy. And I've also added some barrels on the outside here. So I think that's looking quite good. If we kind of come back out now, I think, yeah, that's definitely a bit more of an entrance. And I've kind of decorated the floor a bit as well. But whilst we're kind of doing some lighting, we probably should actually start removing all the torches we've got dotted around the tunnel as well, because no one wants random torches kind of hanging about. So let's just actually add in a few more of these lanterns just up on the ceiling. It's going to be like a little bit, I suppose, dark and dingy, but I don't want it like too dark or anything like that, but I don't want it to be like super lit up at the same time. I kind of like the sort of the broody mood sort of theme that Eden's been going for in the storage area. So yeah, that's looking pretty good, I think. Okay, it's time, and I'm feeling super inspired right now. I mean, we've done so much already with the path and the entrance leading down, so now it's actually time to start thinking about the entranceway to our base. But I don't want to make this any old entrance. I actually want to make this a little bit tricky to actually get into our base. So I actually want to experiment with something that I've never really messed around with before, and that is the chiseled bookshelf. You see, it actually has some interesting properties where we can actually interact with it via redstone, and we could use it as a bit of like a combination lock to sort of get into our base. So I actually want to make the entrance a bit of a facade, and I want to build out, I'm thinking something along those lines of like a mountain library. So at a glance, you could enter it and think not much of it. You could just think it's just a cozy corner within the mountain. But if we interact with a set number of the
chiseled bookshelves in a certain way, then we can actually unlock the door, which is going to lead through into a passage that can take us into sort of the main halls that we'll build in sort of future episodes and everything along those lines. Right, so we have at least a reasonable amount of space now cleared out ready for us. It might not be enough, but we shall see how we get along. That is the one problem with building underground. It's always so easy to kind of underestimate exactly how much space you're going to end up needing, especially when you're not really formally planning it. But I have at least been doing a little bit of tinkering in a test world just to kind of figure out the redstone that I'm going to be needing for the secret entrance with the chiseled bookshelves. So if we just quickly grab a bit of wool, then we can use that for placing on all of our redstone components and stuff. This makes it a little bit easier to kind of keep track of. If we just work out a rough center, it's probably not going to be exactly centered, but yeah, anyway, if we get our 3 chiseled bookshelves along like these are going to be basically our combination locks for unlocking the secret entrance. And now normally if we had like 3 in a row like this, you would have kind of like the redstone line that would cross over, and of course it would break things. But what we can actually do is we can actually redirect the signal slightly so that we can split it out and have like a 1 block gap between each actual line. Yeah, I probably could have just got away with having a single bookshelf as being the sort of the secret sort of combination to get in, but I kind of wanted to make it even more fun. So I'm making actually a bit of an AND gate. So we actually have to have all 3 slots correctly interacted with in the bookshelves to actually unlock our door. So we just set our combination. So I'm thinking 4 and then 3 and then I think probably, let's see, 1. Okay, so what this basically means is each of these slots is going to have a corresponding signal strength. So it's going to be signal strength 4 and signal strength 3 and then finally 1. So we can actually then build out our redstone lines. We can see just about the level where it actually powers. And then what we're going to need to do is basically lock it in so that we don't accept any signal strength lower. So basically not a slot lower than the one we want. We also need to make sure we don't actually accept any slot higher than our desired one. So if we had a repeater after the gap where it's not powered, then that basically handles if the signal strength is too strong. So if it's like a slot up, and then what we can also do is handle as well when the signal strength is too low by adding in a redstone torch on the final powered block like this. So this is going to basically lock in and make sure that only our desired like slot is going to be the one that actually changes the state. So yes, something like this. Cool. So I think we can actually test this now. So if I just attach this up to a quick piston in a minute, it's not going to actually do anything much, but it says by default it's going to be powered up when these slots are wrong. But if we actually go ahead and interact with the correct slots, we just need to reset it first. It only interacts the last one, but let's put on our 4th book and our 3rd and our 1st. And then it should actually depower it. Yes, it has. Awesome. So that's really promising. That means we've actually locked in the desired strength correctly. You know what? I really am having so much fun. It's actually been quite a while now since I've actually done any kind of reasonable amount of redstone. I mean, I did quite a bit more in the past, but I suppose in like recent times I've been mostly focusing on more of the sort of the building elements. But I've always really quite enjoyed it. I mean, I'm not really so much fussed about, ever really been fussed anyway about bigger, like a massive industrial farms or anything like that. I mean, they're cool to make sometimes, but I don't know. They don't really have much interest for me. But what I do love is making interactive and fun elements into the world. And this is definitely checks all of those boxes. I mean, what is more fun than having a secret door powered by redstone? I mean, I think that is definitely cool in my books. And yeah, I think this is coming along really nicely now. I mean, we're almost there. So kind of the final bits really I'm just quickly doing is I just want to make sure that we actually have a bit more of a single pulse, because at the moment the door's either going to be powered on or off, which means our door's only going to be locked open or locked closed, which is kind of not going to be much good for us really all in all. But if we use an observer, then we can actually change this into a single pulse. And then finally, all we need is a pulse extender just to give ourselves a bit of delay between the door opening and closing, to give ourselves a little bit of time to allow us to pass through. Otherwise it's going to be a bit stressful to get through that door, I tell you. But anyway, once we've actually got this in, then we can just run this into the line that's kind of running into the door. And if you see over here, we've actually got a redstone torch up there. So if we run that into there and actually place in a repeater, then when the line's powered, we've got the correct combination, is actually going to disable the torch, which is then going to retract the doors and then open it up. So yeah, I think this is actually working out pretty well now. This is awesome. I am excited to actually start getting started with the library itself. Okay, so I've made a little bit of a start, and you can see now that things are starting to take shape. I mean, it's not fully there yet, but you can kind of get the gist of where I'm going with things. But as much as it's coming along really nicely, and I am liking the way it's like coming to be. But the one thing that I'm quickly realizing is, oh my, bookshelves are expensive, and I've completely run out of leather. I don't have any more. I don't have enough emeralds to buy up any bookshelves from the limited amount of villagers that I have. So we're going to actually have to do some foraging for leather. Now, I think the only way I can feasibly do this is if I grab some gold from the gold farm that Wolf is one of the other players on the server. And he basically said that we could all help ourselves at any of the gold here. So this is going to be perfect. So we don't actually have a bartering farm. But I think if I just grab some of this gold, then if we just grab some piglins somewhere, we just go down to like the actual, like the nether floor and find a way down. Oh my gosh. I hate being in the nether so much. It just... Oh, my palms are always so sweaty when doing this sort of things. I mean, look at it. I mean, we've got just like lava down below. I mean, one mishap and it's game over. And we lose all our stuff and it's going to be a nightmare to replace. But anyway, if we just make our way down, hopefully there should be some piglins. And then we can maybe dig them a little hole or something. And I think if we just chuck in the gold, then we can just see if we can get some leather out of them. Let's see, shall we? Let's. I think they're actually attracted to gold. So yeah, let's try throwing some down. Will they follow me in here? Let's see. Okay, let's chuck a few in here. Are they coming? Oh, I forgot they don't like the zombified piglins, do they? No, of course they don't. They're afraid of them. All right, never mind. Okay, let's just quickly get rid of this gas because that gas is probably going to cause us trouble if we don't. Hey, look at that. Single shot. What a pro. Anyway, if we dig a hole over here, yeah, I think this is far enough away from those zombified guys, then they should actually jump in here. So now if we just chuck in that gold, and let's see, there we go. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Right, good trading with you. Let's see if we can get some goodies out of them. We're probably going to get a lot of the other stuff out of them as well, but I'm not really so interested in that at this point, as I only really need the leather. So we're probably going to be wasting a bit of gold, but oh well, we've got the gold farms, it doesn't really matter. Ah, that was oddly satisfying. I mean, I managed to find a few more piglins so that we can get through a little bit more trading a little bit quicker. And I finally got at least a reasonable amount of leather. I mean, we're probably going to need to build a bartering farm at some point if we're going to want more. But that was enough for now. And we've got the paper from our sugarcane farm, thankfully. So now we can actually craft up all the books and the bookshelves themselves. And then I'll actually get building again. We really are in the final stretch now, and I am super excited. So it's finally in the stage that I love the most, and that is the tinkering stage, where we can kind of go around really, kind of checking bits off of our to-do list, and kind of just bring in like more details and more life and everything into it. But it's almost there now. It's really almost there. So I think really the biggest bit that's kind of lacking at the moment is obviously the floor. We don't want just plain bare stone, so I think I was going to keep it quite simple. Just have some like spruce planks, nothing too crazy. I think that can work quite nicely. And then what I'll also do is add in a bit of a red carpet. But I'm going to kind of like mix this up around here. Not going to have any sort of particular pattern. I'm just going to kind of mix it up a little bit into the floor. And then what we can also do is we actually embed some of the red wool itself into the floor alongside it. And then what we actually end up with is a bit of like a multi-layered effect where it adds a bit more depth to it. So I think that looks pretty cool. I don't know where I saw this, but I saw someone doing it. I quite liked it. So I'm just trying to do this now here as well. But I think that definitely has the effect. And then I think really you just need to focus on adding in a bit more like, like interior features, because at the moment it's just got all the bookshelves and the carpet and it's just looking a little bit bland and bare. And I want to add more life. I want to make like a real purpose to come here. So I'm thinking along the lines of building like a table area where people can kind of like check out their books and sit and have a read, or I don't know, do some studying or something. So I think like a table area could look pretty cool. Somewhere we can have like a few lanterns placed on it, maybe a couple of like plant pots or something with some shrubs, something along those lines. So I think if we just add something in here, but no, I think I need to place these down one. Yeah, like this. Yeah, if we place these down one from here, then we can actually place things on top. Otherwise, things will be randomly floating in the air, and that'll be no good. Anyway, I have a funny feeling we're not going to have space like this. Let me see. So if we place in a few more... No, this is going to be too tight. There's not going to be enough space between here and the bookshelf at the end. Okay, let's flip this around. Let's actually change the orientation like this. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, if we switch this around like this and actually have the seats either end like this, then we actually have enough room. It doesn't feel like it's being squashed into the room. It actually feels like it's a part of the room, so I think that looks better. Let's get rid of these original ones that we added in for the seats. The more I start placing down, the happier I'm actually getting. So I really am getting into a bit of a stride now. I mean, do you know what? Historically, interiors was something I kind of shied away from. I'm still not fully there yet. I mean, there's so many little interior tricks that there are so many talented builders out there that can just seem to have the knack for. And I'm not really quite there yet with it all. But I am starting to at least try and at least do some small bits here and there like this, and I think this works quite well. It's nothing like particularly exciting, but I think for me this is pretty good. But you know what? If you have any ideas of anything more that we can actually do in here, I mean, I'd love to hear your suggestions, so do make sure you leave some comments down below, because it's something that I can actually learn from and maybe try a few new things in the future. But for now at least, I think this is coming along quite nicely. So let's just fill in the ceiling as well, a bit similar to the floor. And we'll probably add some sort of crossbeam as well. But yeah, just something like this is a little bit more interesting. And then I think we really are coming on to something now. I mean, the final bit, maybe it's just a couple of lecterns. I mean, I haven't got any like book and quills yet, but if we place in a couple, at least we have somewhere for them to go. I mean, maybe we'll add in a bit of lore or something in the future and add a bit of a tale to this whole area. I mean, it's something that I don't usually do, but maybe I could try and do something a bit different. But yeah, I think we are finally now done, and this is looking amazing. I am absolutely chuffed to bits. So I am super inspired and excited to continue building on into the next episode. But for today, that's really all we've got time for now. So until next time, I shall see you later. Bye-bye. Welcome back everyone. Last episode we took a massive leap forward in our mission to create the ultimate cozy base in Minecraft. We finally transformed the mountain path from episode 1 into something truly awesome, and we even built in a cozy mountain library and added in a secret entrance to our future new main area of our base to replace our starter hall. But today I'm feeling super inspired to continue bringing my dream project to life. We're diving into the next big phase of our base, a hidden area deep inside of the mountain. This is easily going to be the biggest episode of the series so far, packed with creativity and exciting builds. So if you're ready for a mix of fun and inspiration, then hit that like and subscribe button and let's get started. As much as I know that we need to move on really from our little starter hall, I can't help but feel oddly attached to it. I mean, we've been operating out of here from day one really, and it served its purpose. It's got like the basics that you can ever really need out of a world when you're first starting out, like all the workstations, a few villages, and a bit of storage. But really, it's time to just dive right on in. I mean, last episode, we built out the entrance into the inside of the mountain. I was really happy with how that came out. And then obviously, we finally tackled decorating the path through the mountain. But the highlight, of course, is the library. And I'm absolutely chuffed to bits with how this came out. I mean, as you might or may not know, I don't usually do much in terms of interiors, and it's not necessarily my strong suit, so to get this far with something like this, I'm just so pleased with how it came out. I mean, I've kept it quite sort of small and cozy to kind of really fit in that theme of not going too like big in our proportions and sizes, but just kind of keep it humble, and I'm really happy with it. I mean, at a glance, you just think it's quite an innocent little cozy library, and you never really think there's anything more to see to it. But of course, we built in our secret entrance that's going to be leading into our main base. So an idea that really excited me was to actually build up a hidden bar behind this sort of hidden entrance here. And so basically a speakeasy. So if you don't know what a speakeasy is, it's basically like a hidden bar. So it's like quite prevalent, I think, during Prohibition era times in the United States. And there would be like a bar that would be hidden away behind sort of inconspicuous sort of entrances, like a hidden door, like usually behind something like concealed doors or like the bookshelves. And it could open up and lead into it. So this is kind of what I had in mind. This is exactly why I built the library in the first place, because I wanted to build a bit of a facade. So like an innocent looking cozy library, but it just so happened to have the hidden entrance. And I wanted to lead into a hallway. So I figured, so the first thing to do really is just kind of start things off with digging up a hallway. And then it's going to lead into the main area. So I don't really have a set plan as to how much space I'm going to need. I mean, I took some loose inspiration from sort of pictures like these of some sort of classic bars, and this is kind of what I want to do. I mean, as you'll notice, they're very heavy on the sort of wood paneling and very wood heavy in general, so that's exactly the sort of theme that I want to go in, and I think that also worked really well with the style that we've been building in general in our whole base really. I mean, we're going for that very cozy, chilled out vibe. So although it is a little bit different to what we've been building up on the top of the mountain and the actual outcrop itself, but I think it's all going to work, and I think it ties in so well with the library itself.
Okay, so I've cleared out a nice big area here now, and I'm hoping it's going to be enough space. So I don't have a set plan of exactly what I want to do, so I may need to dig out more. We'll see how we get along, but I think it should be enough for now. So we are cutting it a little bit close to the pathway that's kind of leading up over our heads. So I'm hoping this isn't going to get in our way, but we will see how we get along. We probably can do something to incorporate it, I guess. But yeah, and the other thing is we actually do have these 2 columns here. This is where, so Eden, who I'm basing with, he's built these water elevators going up and down from the mountain, but I think we actually also might be able to incorporate them into kind of maybe like a quick way up to the top and also like a quick way out of the speakeasy. Before we go any further, we need to start mapping out our room layout, so give ourselves something to kind of work from going forward. So wool is probably the way forward, so if we start placing some of this down, we can start to kind of like partition off like the layout. So the thing is really is I want the bar to be the very first thing that you see as you walk through the hallway leading up to it from the library. So I think if we have the bar around here, so I don't want it to be like too big, but maybe like something like this should give us enough space to work with. Yeah, like this, so like about that deep, and then about just about here I think should do the trick. And then we can build in like some bar stools and little tables all around to kind of fill out the area. And then around the side, I think if we had like a little like walkway kind of going around to the rear, and that's where I actually want to build up some sort of like entertainment area, because typically what you might find in like a speakeasy is that they might have like a jazz band or something. So I think if we have like a dance floor and like an area for something like that, then I think that could be pretty cool. I mean, a little while ago, me and Eden actually went on a load of quests, which I can show later on, where we actually found all of the music discs in the game. And I think actually we could probably incorporate that, maybe make something to actually play them all or something. So yeah, definitely we need a nice big area around the back here. So I'm probably going to have to dig out more, but yeah, that's for later. Anyway, let's actually get cracking and collect up some resources. So as you sort of saw from those inspiration pictures, I'm going to need a lot of wood. So let's get cracking and get ourselves a load of spruce and I think dark oak. So I think that's because obviously dark oak, you get those really nice, like the trapdoors, which look like those like wood paneling. So I think that's definitely going to be something that we're going to be using a lot of. So let's just grab a little bit of bone meal from our greenhouse that we made a couple of episodes back, so that we can at least farm up at least a good amount to get ourselves started with. The only problem really with having no exact plan of what you want to build is that it's hard to know exactly where to start. But I think at least going along with the floor is probably a good way to begin. I mean, at least if we can start to get a feel for the place, if we start focusing on like the floor and then the sort of the bare bones walls themselves to surround it, then I might actually kind of provide some inspiration about where to go next. So let's just fill in the space here. I'm thinking just spruce planks is going to do the trick, and then I need to figure out the walls. So what I'm thinking is having kind of like the planks again going up, but then having like wooden columns that make the way up the wall, so that we can have these little like niches. I don't know if that's the right word, like some sort of like inlet bit between them. I think that can look quite cool. So, is 3 blocks between them going to be enough, or is that going to be too little? Yeah, I think actually might be too little. I think what I actually might do is make this 5 like between them, because then we've got enough space. Yeah, I think if we make it 5. Then actually we can have a nice little bit of space in between. And then I think what we can probably do is I'll probably add stuff like, I don't know, some shelves or like paintings or I don't know, something different in between. I think could look quite cool. Yeah, I think this is starting to look good. I mean, don't judge me too much. I mean, it's it's nothing much to look at the moment, but I think you can kind of get the gist of where at least I'm loosely thinking of going with it. But what really worked, I think, with the library was adding like an outline around the top or like above the wall pillars and just kind of joining it up, and it just kind of make the room feel a bit more complete. So I think I'd like to do the same thing here, really. I think it could work really well. So yeah, I think something like this. I think that's going to give us a really good starting point all in all to kind of just build out from there. Like this gives, as I said, the bare bones, and it gives us something to really kind of start filling out. And then when I want to really dive into more of the interior, then I think it's just going to make it a lot easier for us. So yeah, let's just kind of finish up this little bit here. Then I think we're kind of ready to start focusing on some of the other key elements like the bar. And I am particularly excited to actually start on the bar. But before we do that, let's just quickly fill out the little hallway as well, because at the moment it doesn't really feel very joined up and it's kind of a bit jarring. So let's also do the same thing with adding some more pillars here just to kind of join it up, so that as you're coming through the library, it's just going to kind of blend nicely into our little area. A bit like this. Yeah, that's cool. Right, the main challenge is actually going to begin now. I mean, this is the bit where I knew I was going to struggle with the most. and that's trying to figure out like what I actually want to do for the bar itself. I mean, it's all very well, you know, looking at pictures and all that, but actually figure out what I want to do, that's the hard one. But you know, so I'm just gonna try and error a little bit to see if I can find something that I actually like. So I don't know, I don't think dark oak planks is going to do the trick, but something I did think I liked the idea of was using the chiseled bookshelf. So hear me out. I mean, if you look at the top, the texture, it looks really cool. I mean, you know, so looking, obviously we don't need to worry about what's actually behind here. We can kind of hide the fact that it is a bookshelf behind the bar, but around the front, if we put the trapdoors up here on the side, and then actually have the chiseled bookshelf texture at the top, that looks really cool. You know, it's quite unique. And it's a little bit of a pop of different color, you know, so I think that works quite well. And then, of course, we need to think about some bar stools. So I think I can probably do this with just some, you know, like a little fence post at the bottom, and then trapdoors on the bottom like this, or something like that maybe. And then, I mean, signs is probably going to be good for sort of surrounding it. Now, I'm probably going to adjust this a little bit as I go along, but yeah, something like that maybe, like maybe oak on the sides like this. That looks all right. I mean, yeah, I think so. Or we could try swapping it out. Let's mix it up a little bit. Actually, what about another sign on the back? No, that looks terrible. I think it was definitely better with a trapdoor on the back and not signs all the way around. I think signs are fine for the sides, but definitely too much for like surrounding the entire thing. Oops. Okay, I didn't quite mean to do that. But okay, I just had an idea. Let's swap it actually for oak on the bottom, because then actually these signs are probably going to work a little bit better. Yeah. Okay, that looks good. All right, let's get at least, I think we can fit 3 here really on the sides. Oh, okay, I keep changing my mind about what trapdoors to use. Oh, yeah. So so let's build up 3, I think. Yeah, because I don't think we can fit any more than that. If we try to fit too many in, it's going to feel a bit claustrophobic, and I just think it's going to be a bit too much. So I think just the 3 like that should do the trick, and it kind of fills up the area next to the bar. And then of course in the rest of the room itself, we can start thinking about like maybe some little tables and stuff, you know. But something I really need, so I know I'm going to need to start building some like beer taps and things like that. So something I've seen before, I've seen plenty of other people do, is using trip hooks, but I don't think I actually have any crafted. So let's just grab some iron. If I can find something in the mess that currently is our storage. And now I know I need to actually move in all of this stuff into the storage hall that Eden made last episode, so I do need to move that in. So at the moment it's a little bit of a challenge to find anything that I actually need. But anyway, I've got some iron. Now I can't quite remember what the crafting recipe is for this. So okay, sticks, planks, and iron nuggets. Okay, let's get some nuggets, and then oh, there we go. Okay, so we don't need too many. Let's just start with like a reasonable amount like this, and yeah. So if we put them on the barrels, this looks like a beer barrel, and I think that's going to work perfectly for us. So let's have a few of these lined up like this. Yeah, I love that. That's really cool. It's simple, but you get the gist of what it actually is, I think. I mean, obviously with Minecraft, the main thing is that you really do have to use your imagination when you're building, because obviously there's missing a lot of real world items. So you really kind of just have to use what's in the game to your advantage. And I think the trip hooks looks quite nice like this. I don't think I've ever used trip hooks as an actual redstone component before, but I think as a decorative block, I think that actually looks quite good. So yeah, that's looking really good. So I've added a few shelves in as well, just to give ourselves a bit of an idea as to where we could go with this. So I think that's quite good. But I think really something that's going to really come in our favor is paintings. Now, in like a speakeasy, I mean, or like any kind of bar, you kind of see a lot of like different decorative things and different things up on the walls. So I think this is going to really help like mix things up a little bit, add a bit of color and just like variation, because otherwise it's very wood heavy and it might be a bit much on the eyes. So I think, yeah, I mean, especially now that they added in a load of new paintings into the game, I think it was only going to really make sense really that we add a few of those in and make use of them. I love all the new ones they've added in. I think this is going to be perfect, so we're definitely going to go heavy on that. But also, I think what we could also add in is some brewing stands, because I'm not sure exactly what they should really look like, but I don't know, it just like feels like something that just, I don't know, like you could think of being in a bar. It just looks like something like a coffee maker or something. So yeah, like I think that works. Anyway, it just adds, I mean, it's also got a bit of different color to it, and obviously you got the particle effects off of it as well. So, you know, I think that works. And then obviously we're going to add in some like potted plants and things. So that will make a nice difference, I think. And then on the sides, I think if we add in some more like bookshelves and these looms where they're like facing the other way, then yeah, it kind of looks like some sort of like storage space, some shelves or, you know, little compartments and things on the side. So it kind of fills it out. But yeah, this is looking cool. Okay, I'm getting happier and happier as we go along with this. I wasn't so sure to begin with, like where I was going to go with this, but actually this is looking pretty good. So let's just have a look at this. Yeah, this is looking really good. Okay, I'm starting to get a little bit more confident now as we're getting more and more into a flow. So yeah, I just need to think now where we want to go next with this, but this is looking cool. Right, now that we have actually have the bar itself, let's actually add in a bit more detail into the surrounding walls. So I think what's going to work really well is if we fill in some like stair blocks on each corner of these little pillars and then add in the dark oak trapdoors. So they look those perfect like wood paneling blocks. So I think that's already making quite a big difference. We can add it on the bottom as well. And then we can add in some tables. So I think what's going to work really well is just some really simple tables like this. So like just using trapdoors and like stair blocks with some signs to surround it. So that's going to look really good. So if we add a few of these kind of like dotted around, and then what we can do is we can actually add some decorations to the table. So I've actually got a little data pack on this world where we can actually make item frames invisible. So if we add in some stuff like bowls, then that's going to look a bit like a plate if we make it invisible, if I can actually do it right. So I think I need to be a little bit closer. So like this, I think, yeah, like this, that does the trick. So yeah, it's going to look a bit like a plate, I think. And then we had a few of those dotted around, and then we probably can also just add in some flower pots, but not for plants this time, but actually make them look like a bit more like tankards. So I know we've got some dotted around for actual plants, but I think if we add a couple, they're probably about the closest things we can actually get to like a tankard for beers and stuff. And then, yeah, so just add in a few more bowls and stuff. And I probably could add in like some, maybe like wooden shovels or something to be like some, I don't know, some cutlery. But yeah, just something to be on the table so they're not completely bland. So yeah, this is starting to look pretty good. I missed a clock when I was doing the bar, so I just figured that I needed to add in a clock to the wall, because obviously we're deep underground. We have no idea whether it's day or night, so having something like up there like that is going to do the trick. Cool, so I'm pretty happy now with how things have come out with the whole bar area, so it's now time for us to turn our attention to the little side room that we've got. So we've got this little space here, and it's just right, I think, for a little cloakroom. So in the functional sense, what I'm thinking about doing is making this like an area where me and Eden can actually store all of our spare armor and like tools and stuff. But in the essence of the actual speakeasy, I'm thinking it's going to be like obviously where you come in and hung up all your coats or cloaks or whatever. So I think it's going to be perfect for that. So let's just quickly sort this out so it looks a bit like the bar. It's the same sort of style with the paneling and everything. And it's going to give us something nice to sort of start working with. Now, as I mentioned right at the start, we actually have these water columns that are already running through the whole area. So what I've done is I've just opened them up so they're actually accessible. So if we want to have a quick way up to the initial starter area, then we can go straight on up here, but also we can drop down to the bottom of the mountain. So I think that works quite well, and it saves something to actually completely tear it down or do something else. But what I'm going to need now is a few armor stats. This is going to obviously where I want to mount up some armor, like for, you know, maybe I'm thinking like have a set for like gold, iron, diamond, eventually netherite. Again, I've got obviously my main netherite armor, but if I ever get around to making some spare netherite armor, then maybe we'll have one for that as well. So I've got a few smooth stones, so I think that's make up some stands. And then what we can do is if we remove some of these trapdoors, let's just add in, I think, like some barrels just around the sides like this. And then on the center one, what we can do is we can actually place in the armor stand like that. Yeah, so that's gonna look pretty cool. If you think you're gonna have a few of these kind of like lining up down the sort of the hallway here, not hallway, the cloakroom, then I think that's going to look quite cool. It's going to like add in its own little feature to the area. And as I said, keep it really functional. And that's really the key, obviously. I really am happy to go in full on the aesthetic and kind of tell a bit of story with the builds, but I also want to make things really functional. So I want to make sure that there's a really good reason that we want to keep coming here like time and time again whilst in our world. So storing in like the essentials like spare armor and things, I think that's a good enough reason as any. So yeah, let's add in iron for this one. And then I think let's make the next, so we made the next one diamond already, but then what we could also do is make use of some more coat hooks and trip hooks is what I meant to say, but what I'm trying to say is that we can actually make them look like coat hooks by putting them in item frames and making them invisible. So that looks pretty good, I think. Okay, so time for the sort of the final room now, and that is going to be our main sort of like entertainment areas, where I really want to build in like a bit of an area maybe for like a music stand and like a dance floor and some more like kind of like booths and stuff really for people to kind of kick back and enjoy. So as I said a little while ago, me and Eden actually got together and we went and found pretty much all of the discs in the game, and we had quite an adventure. So I think what's best to do is show some of that. So one of the first things that we actually did is we built up a music disc farm. This is so that we could get at least a bulk of the common main discs that you typically have, well, have always really existed in the game. So obviously the best way to get them is through making a farm where we can get these skeletons to shoot at creepers. And if you get them to do that, then what the creeper ends up doing is dropping a random music disc. So that proved to be really fruitful, and we were actually able to get every single one of those common discs in no time at all, actually. So that proved really useful. And then we actually had a lot of adventures where we went and found some of the other less common discs. So here is when me and Eden actually went into the Nether and went off on some adventures to find Pigstep.
1 arrow left. Go on, be a last shot. Yes, got him. Right, I have no arrows left.
I've got 25.
Okay. You are
Make the
now
shots
the
count. For now, I might...
Oh, back.
Yeah. It's gone that hole. I think there we go. Yeah.
There's a bunch.
Right.
Yeah, right. The brute's got you've got the attention of the brute, so get rid of him because we can drop down here then.
Cool. Done.
Okay, right. So take out 1 block. Oh.
Don't jump in there. Whatever you do.
Get some more building blocks and just start filling in the lava at least. No. Careful.
Oh, yep.
You really need shulker boxes.
Yes. Well, there's nothing in here apart from gold. Oh no, there is a chest. Netherite scrap, Netherite up. Smithing table, crime. It's a Netherite. Yeah, I got a load of Netherite.
Another diamond shovel.
there's a lot of these diamond shovels.
Nothing else of note, really. Oh my word, there's a one right below us.
There we go, that's those guys taken care of.
Mark. One's behind you. Oh, it's stuck.
Phew.
There is one below you as well. Do not fall.
Not fall. Okay. Oh yeah, I can see him.
And there, so we've got a decent little platform just to get...
Netherite ingots, upgrade template, more gilded blackstone.
Diamond swords in that one.
Ooh, nice. It was this point in the adventure where me and Eden had been searching for many hours without any luck trying to find Pigstep, and then things took a real turn for the worse. Oh!
Oh no.
Oh!
I'm down here too.
Oh no! Oh no! Eden!
Oh no.
Oh no! At this point, I'd love to tell you that things got better, but spoiler, they didn't. I know it's my axe because it's only got efficiency. Oh no, it's efficiency 5. That's your axe. Oh no! Oh no!
Almost done.
It's going downhill.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
No, I mean our luck.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no, why are you killing me? No, I didn't do anything. He remembered. After all of that death and adventure, we never actually ended up finding Pigstep, which was a real shame because we'd had so much fun. So in the end, we actually ended up resorting to trading with one of the other players on the server who happened to have one in his collection. But anyway, we had so much fun. So what I want to do now is I want to kind of carry on this room and I want to build in a jukebox system so we can actually play all of these discs. So I actually found a really cool design that is going to basically allow us to basically play like automatically like one disc after the other, and it also has the ability to kind of skip tracks like midway through playing them, which is actually not something that's like done by default, because typically if you have a hopper beneath a jukebox, it just doesn't pull out the disc until it's finished playing. But this design, it actually allows you to skip them, so that's going to be really cool. So I will leave a link in the description down below, and let's get building. This jukebox system is actually surprisingly compact. I was actually able to fit it in quite nicely underneath the bar. So you'd never really know it's there, because obviously eventually we're going to basically cover this over, and it's just going to be obviously just the controls themselves are going to be exposed. So that's going to work really well. But let's just grab in all of our discs. So we did actually have all the other discs from like some other adventures, where in the previous a couple of episodes back, we actually did a like trial chamber run, and we managed to get some of the new ones there as well. So we've pretty much got everything now. So if we just go and load up our system with all of the discs, then we can actually test it out and see if it actually works, because I did kind of build myself a little bit of a Limatica schematic to kind of get it built more easily on the world, so I'm hoping that I've actually done everything correctly. And sometimes it's a little bit hard to tell once you're sort of following one of them. But anyway, yes, load in this, and then we can turn it on and then see how we go from there. Oh yeah, this is working nicely. Awesome. Okay, this is exactly what I had in mind. This is going to be perfect. And this system actually will basically cycle through the discs one at a time. So it's really cool because it actually avoids repeating them all until they've actually played through one play of each of the music discs. So that's awesome. But what I need to do now is I want to build a redstone line leading through from the jukebox area into this center area. This is where we're going to be building in a dance floor. So something that I figured out that I could do quite easily was basically using like observer lines, and we can have like basically like redstone lamps sat on top of them to make like wave patterns and stuff. So if we just add in a few rows of these, and we can basically pulse through them. And I think it's going to look really cool. So yeah, it's going to be quite expensive in terms of the number that we need, because we need a lot of observers for this, and obviously a lot of redstone lamps. But I think it's going to look really cool. So we just add in the layer of redstone lamps like this. And then if we actually power this on in a second, this is going to look really cool. Yeah, this is looking awesome. Look at that. Look at that. This is really cool. And this is going to look even better once we actually start decorating out the whole area really, and start really kind of bringing it to life. If I could avoid falling down into holes. But the one thing that always makes me laugh is the expressions that the observers make when they have the pulse passing through them. It looks really comical. I know no one's going to ever see this but me, but it just makes me chuckle thinking about it underneath there. But anyway, let's start filling this out. So we're just going to need to kind of build out the skeleton like this, and then we can pretty much start doing a bit more of the same that we've been doing around the rest of the whole area. And just kind of build out the walls, put in the ceiling, and then we can kind of go from there. I've run out of wood. I need to collect some more again now. I've done this probably about 2 more times now since the original collection of all the resources. It just seems to be going, I mean, I know it's wood heavy, but I've been going through so much. But another quick distraction, I think, something else really that I need to do, and I've been meaning to do for a little while, is my shovel. And the thing is, it's got no efficiency on it whatsoever. So I just quickly, whilst I kind of got it on my mind, I just want to quickly see if I can actually be lucky enough to get efficiency straight up from the enchanting table. You see, I have got some villagers, but I don't have the emeralds. I don't have any means of getting any emeralds. So I need to still use the enchanting table. So let's see if we can get some luck with this. Oh, there we go. Okay, efficiency 2, first try. That was an efficiency 3. Whoa, okay, 2 for 2. That's awesome. Okay, so we should be able to combine some of these books. And yeah, we go. Let's see. That's still efficiency 2. Okay, 2 efficiency 2s, efficiency 3. Let's do that. And then we've got another efficiency 3. So we put the efficiency 3 and efficiency 3 together, and we get efficiency 4. Okay, that's going to have to do for now. And if we just apply that to my shovel, we should be finally in a better place, I think. Because I was basically using like dirt for scaffolding, and it was just occurring to me like how slow it was to actually like break them down again. So Okay, that's much better. Okay, I can sleep easy now knowing that I finally got some better enchantment on my shovel. But okay, we've now finally got the whole area kind of filled in a bit more now. So we've covered over the jukebox, and I want to build up like a bit of like a music stand. So I'm thinking like a little like set, but I don't know. I was toing and fromming, so I did actually mess around in the creative world a little bit to kind of figure out something about what I wanted to build. Now, I don't know if this is fully in theme with the speakeasy or not, but I'm thinking about making like some speakers on either side here and making kind of like a little bit of a controller area here in the middle where we can kind of like someone's kind of be there to kind of manage all the playlists, you know, for all of the people that want to come back and chill in this whole speakeasy and make the most of the music and you know, the good drinks and the good vibes. So something like this, I think. And then I'm going to use some of the workstations and stuff like this just to kind of like mix up the whole area a little bit. And just going to make it look a bit more interesting. I'm just kind of messing around at this point. It's nothing too special or crazy, but just something to look at really as we're kind of in the main dance floor area. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. It's, you know, it's nothing too special. It's humble, but I think that works quite nicely. But I do need a little bit of the glazed terracotta, the yellow glazed terracotta to be precise, because I was using a little bit in the bar area and it looked really nice to kind of meld like basically like the edge of the area just below. So I've had a bit of like kind of break things up a little bit, just add like a little bit of pop of color, maybe like I suppose it'd be like a little I don't know, not rug, but I don't know, just a little bit of detail. It just makes it look a little bit more fancy, and I just think it works. I think it fits in quite well with Dark Oak. It was something that I was experimenting with, and I don't know, it breaks things up a little bit. Otherwise, the problem is it just kind of feels like it's too continual with all like the wooden planks kind of following through from the dance floor into the area kind of behind the music set. So yeah, just by adding that in and some like carpet blocks and stuff here, I think this is going to look pretty good. But I do want to add in like a little backdrop thing here. So I'm thinking we could actually add in some of our excess music discs, a few more paintings and stuff, something like this. Like, I don't know. I am just messing around. Like, don't judge me too much. Hopefully it's going to look all right. Finally, let's just fill in now the dance floor area with a mixture of magenta and blue glass. I think this is probably going to work best with all of the wood planks and everything else along those lines. And then I think I was going to spend a little bit of time on touching up with some final details in the room. And then I think we can pretty much call this project complete. It's actually quite hard to believe how much we've actually managed to accomplish this episode. I really am chuffed to bits with how everything has come out. I mean, this is better than I could ever possibly imagine. So from the secretive charm of the speakeasy to the groovy jukebox system and of course the vibrant dance floor area and our little cloakroom and everything else, it has all come together so well. So I hope you've really enjoyed the process as much as I have. It has been an absolute blast. So let me know down in the comments what your favorite part is and what you're excited for next time, and if you have any suggestions for what we could actually do as well in the future. So with all that, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye bye. Welcome back everyone. I'm on a mission to build the coziest, most immersive mountain base in Minecraft, where every build has a story and a purpose. And last episode we built a speakeasy hidden behind our mountain library to hold our disc collection. But today we're tackling something long overdue. Our forgotten enchanting setup. It's been sitting there unfinished on the mountaintop for far too long. So today we bring it to life with a custom ruined mystical tower, complete with custom terrain and more. When I started on this world, there was one goal I really had in mind, and that was to kind of keep things simple, but to tell a story with every build. Make sure that everything had a focus and a function and would be part of the story of this world. Well, I've been kind of staying true to that, and I've been going very much back to the basics with a lot of things in this world. And one of them is by actually making use of the enchanting table. And you might think it's just not that interesting, but I think it really is, because it's one of those mysterious elements in the game, and it's kind of just abandoned after some of the earlier stages of the game where everyone rushes to villages. And yeah, sure, you can get every enchantment you'd ever need in the world, but I think they just take something away from the game. And although I started with a few villages when I first began in this world, I quickly realized that they just weren't really fun to me. I actually want to go back to the basic mechanics. So what I want to do is I want to build something really special to kind of encompass our enchanting area. I want to make something mysterious and ruined, and something that kind of looks abandoned and kind of like left from previous civilizations. Maybe like someone that just left something here on the mountainside forgotten, and I just happened to stumble across it and settling into my base area down below it. But before we can actually go further, we need to actually start clearing out of the area. So I think if we just begin by flattening out, just to give ourselves a bit of space to work with, like a blank canvas, if you will. And I think once we've sort of flattened it out and sort of given ourselves a little bit of a plateau, so we'll need to fill in a little bit of the area as well, then I think we can kind of have somewhere to build from and gonna go from there. Because this sort of building style for me is going to be incredibly adventurous, because I've never built anything in a kind of ruined style. I mean, historically, I struggled a lot with kind of making builds feel organic and natural, and I think certainly like ruined builds are probably one of the hardest to get right in Minecraft. So if you think I actually get it right later on in the video, then make sure to let me know down in the comments, because it shall be interesting, shall we say. So at this point of recording, I actually have no clue what I'm actually going to be doing. I just know roughly the sort of size I want to build it in, because I do want to make this probably one of the biggest sort of builds in this sort of area, but I don't want to overshadow all the nice stuff that we've made down below. And I do kind of want to master this in sort of like some custom terrain and things. So anyway, let's actually start collecting up some resources, and then we can actually start moving forward. So I'm going to be using a lot of sort of like the sort of stone themed blocks. I mean, we're using bits of tuff as well, but I'm going to be using quite a lot of cobblestone and like mossy cobblestone, just because it kind of looks a lot like, you know, like cracked and aged and all that. And of course, we can also add like, well, the stone bricks, if we smelt them down, then we can also get the cracked bricks from that as well. So I think that's something that we're going to be using a lot of, I think. So I'm just kind of collecting together like a load of resources that I think I'm going to need. So andesite's definitely one of them, and I'm sure there'll probably be plenty of other things I will want to use. But I do also want to see if I can make use of some of the new Minecraft 1.21.4 blocks, because I've just updated this world and I finally have access to the Pale Garden. So later on in the episode, we are actually going to be going on an adventure. I say me and my best friend are going to be going on an adventure where we're going to be finding all of the new blocks, because I'm definitely going to be trying to incorporate them into the build today. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you stick along to that. One thing that I am super glad that I did before starting out today was that I actually finally organized all of our storage into the storage hall that Eden built for us. And it did take me quite a few hours, but at least it's now finally organized, and we no longer need to actually hunt around to find anything we need when we actually want to build stuff. So everything's now organized into proper categories. So that's going to make our lives a lot easier. Sometimes I think it's so easy to forget just how magical Minecraft worlds can be, and when you're flying around by Elytra all the time, you tend to miss a lot of the finer details and all the life that's been added in recent updates. And so what I've been really sticking to in this world is absolutely no Elytras and traveling everywhere by horseback or by foot. So me and Eden actually set out on an adventure to try and find one of the new Pale Garden biomes, but it's definitely going to be a bit of a challenge because this world has actually been going for a little while now, so there are so many loaded chunks, so trying to find any kind of new ungenerated terrain is certainly going to be a bit of a challenge, but we found plenty of things along the way.
Oh, armadillo.
Armadillo, is it? I've not seen one yet. Oh, hello. Oh, oh, I guess they're scared, aren't they? Get scared if you get too close.
Yeah.
So if we keep still, will they open up?
Yes.
I want to pet armadillo so badly now. I can touch a lead.
No,
yeah.
Oh, no, there you go. Ah.
Oh, I'm definitely going to come back here later and
Yeah.
bring one back to the base. Oh, that's the first time I've seen one of the armadillos. Armadillos, if I can say it right. But after exploring and finding armadillos for the first time, we continued onwards, sailing across open oceans day and night, trekking across open land, and then finally coming across to our first Pale Garden. Oh, this is cool. I like this.
I'm loving the effects that are coming off of this as well.
See, this is what they're adding, is that in the spring drop, they're adding more of this ambient stuff, like the particle effects.
Is that off of the leaves or the hanging moss?
That's so hanging moss, I think, is just shears. Yeah, the particles is just the trees in general, so it's a bit like the cherry blossom. But yeah, they're adding these leaf effects to all the trees.
That'd be cool.
Oh, definitely getting a load of this moss.
Flowers.
Oh, there's the flowers.
Eye blossom.
Yeah, and they open at night, I think. Yeah, they should open. They'll change again. They look like the freaking eyes, whatever.
Wow.
On this pale moss. I think it works in the same way as normal moss, that we can just bone meal it up. I'll just grab a little bit.
Ooh, really? Okay.
With twilight quickly approaching, we created a campfire and then we waited for the creakings to start spawning.
Silk touch we need, yeah?
Silk touch for the
Where's
heart,
it?
yeah.
Where's the... Oh my god, it's right there. That thing moves fast, or is that a second one?
It might be a second one. Oh, this resin's cool. Oh, it forms more resin. Oh, I forgot it does that. So yeah, when you hit them, it spawns resin.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, so the more you hit it, the more resin... There you go, look, see it spreading?
Oh, okay.
So you can make resin blocks, and then these resins themselves, they look like... You can use them as like decorative blocks as well. They look quite nice.
Do you mind staring at him in a second then?
Yeah, can do. Oh, they hit
You
quite
didn't
hard.
stare.
I wanted to see how hard it hit. Oh,
I only have
skeleton.
a silk touch pick. Oh my word.
Sorry,
Mark.
I know, skeleton. Yeah, they really need to stop other mobs spawning. This is...
I only have a silk touch pickaxe on me.
Same. I think it will still work. Did it work?
Do
you have the block?
Creaking heart, yes.
Hey!
I have a creaking heart. And the creaking died.
Oh yeah, one over here, one over there, and that one's slightly further along. Gosh, they do actually hit quite hard. They are so fast.
Ow. Oh my word, they are really fast.
Adventures completed, I now finally have the extra blocks that I need. So I've got some of that lovely pale moss and the hanging pale moss. I think that's going to look really cool in the build for today. So with that, now that we have everything else that we also need ready to go, let's actually get started and get building. I say this a lot, but I am actually chuffed to bits with how this came out. This is better than I could ever have possibly have expected. I mean, this has been a real bit of experimentation for me into a completely new style of playing. I've never really built in this way, so it's been a lot of fun. And it's come along pretty nicely. So we've got a nice little hallway here in the middle as we come into the tower, and then we've also got this little rickety stairway that's winding its way up to the top. And I've tried to make it look as kind of like ruinous and falling apart as possible. So as we go further and up, it's starting to get a bit more precarious. So we've kind of got like random blocks and things kind of hanging out and cracks in the wall. So I think that's kind of really having the design effect quite nicely. And then, yeah, as I say, here we've got like this brick stuff that's falling out the wall, so that looks really cool. And as we get up to the very top, then the whole floor has pretty much caved in, and I think this looks really cool. So this is exactly what I had in mind, really, or better than that anyway. And now we've got a perfect viewing point for our whole little mountain outcrop base, really. And I think I could just sit here all day, really, and just take in the views. I think building this style definitely has left me feeling very inspired. I mean, I'm trying to think about what else we could possibly build in the future in this sort of similar fashion. And I couldn't help thinking that maybe in the future we could do something along the lines of like if you're familiar with Lord of the Rings, where you have the beacons that get lit when Gondor calls for aid. I mean, we could have like maybe on like distant mountains, like looking on beyond our range, we could have some more towers or things kind of in the distance. So that could look really cool on the horizon, especially because we have a little mod installed called Bobby that allows us to see really far into the world, like much further render distance than is normally available in the game, so that could look really cool. But you know, for now I think we just need to get in our little enchanting setup and get that fully built in, and then really we can just start turning our attention to the exterior area, because currently the terrain is looking a little bit lackluster. And it definitely could do with a bit of love to kind of build up this sort of mysterious abandoned effect that I want to go for.
because, you know, we've got the tower and it's looking pretty good, but everything's looking really stony and bare outside of here. So I think really probably the first logical thing that we can do, because we've got quite a lot of space to fill, is I wouldn't mind trying to build in some custom trees. So I'm thinking probably some pine trees, but I'm not quite fully decided yet. So if we just collect up some spruce wood, and then I'm especially going to need quite a few spruce leaves as well. And then I think I'm also going to collect up some birch leaves as well, because I wouldn't mind trying to like mix up the foliage a little bit and make it a little bit more interesting and varied. I mean, historically I've probably just stuck to kind of one or the other, but actually I think the birch and the spruce look quite similar, but like just subtly different enough that I think it could kind of make a nice bit of variation. So yeah, let's collect up some of this, and then we can start building in some trees to give ourselves a bit of a foundation with a new terrain. Wow, that has already made a big difference. I think that's definitely done the trick, I think, in starting to fill in the landscape. I mean, just encompassing the tower with just a few trees, like not too many, but just a few kind of spread around each side. I think that has just gone so far into just making this a bit more alive and just realistic. And it's kind of definitely sort of setting in stone the next part of it, really. And I think then we can start to greenify this area. So yeah, it's looking quite good now like this, but we need to, I think, swap out some of that stony outcrop bit. I want to make it a lot more green and stuff. So I think the best way of probably doing that is just by taking the slightly lazy route with moss, but trust the process. It's going to look good, I think, because even though it's kind of just spamming a load of moss really to start with, I think that's from there we can kind of start to like add in some variation, and we can kind of throw in some like boulders and stuff. So just by kind of like starting like this, I think this gives us something good to work with. I think it's just, I mean, you could take the long route of kind of manually placing every single block, but I think sometimes, especially if you're like me, where landscaping is not necessarily something that comes totally naturally to me, so just having something like moss to kind of kickstart the process is just kind of a good way to kind of get the creative juices flowing a bit, really. So yeah, definitely recommend doing the same. And then, as I say, then we can start to add in a bit of foliage. So I did this down below by the hanging tree that I added with the little pond. So just by adding in like a few leaves and things here and there, that helps break things up nicely. Just to add little shrubs and things, and of course some little boulders and stuff. So I'm going to make use of tuff and also like the more of like the cobblestone and the mossy cobblestone, because they work quite nicely into kind of making out little like rock formations and little bits kind of protruding out, and it just kind of breaks things up a nice little bit so that the moss is not too overpowering. But yeah, I think this is doing the trick quite nicely. So I'm going to try and spread this out as much as possible, really, and just kind of mix things up, and then I think we'll be well on our way. But with that actually looking a little bit better now, I actually want to turn my attention to the tower itself for a minute. So what I would like to do is I would actually like to add in some kind of like growth going up the tower, some like vines or like plants that sort of making their way up the tower itself. It's going to make it look like it's really overgrown. It's kind of really coming back to that like abandoned look that I keep going on about. So if we just add in some stuff like this around it, it kind of looks like nature's starting to reclaim the tower for itself. So this goes a long way, and it also really helps blend in the tower with this sort of the surrounding landscape as well. Just something like this, I think this works really well. Just I don't want to do too much, but just like a little bit kind of surrounding each sort of side. And I also want to start making use of the pale hanging moss that we found in our adventures area, because this is the bit I think that can really help add in just a little subtle detail. And again, it kind of ties into that kind of overgrown and kind of like aged and abandoned sort of look that we're going for, just like that little bit. Like you could almost like blink and you'll miss it, but just by adding in these little bits here and there, I think it just kind of adds in such a good bit of detail and variation, and I absolutely love it. I am so happy with all the new things that Mojang are actually adding to the game at the moment. I mean, it's just such small little things, but just go such a long way, and I'm all for it, and I'm especially excited for all the extra stuff that's coming in the spring drop. I mean, there's definitely going to be things that we can add into our landscape when that sort of arrives as well. But anyway, what I'd also like to do now is add in a little bit of a path that's kind of slowly kind of winding its way down this little area into sort of the area behind the tower. So Ian's actually working on a little barn. So he's got a little area already flattened out and a little tunnel making its way through to the main area where all the greenhouse and everything is. So I think if I just make this path just kind of slowly sort of creep its way down towards that direction, and then I can kind of make it lead up with the path that he originally added and the tunnel, and I think that will work quite well because I don't think we really have space in the other side to kind of make any kind of access. So I think this kind of looks more fluid and makes more sense, at least in my eyes. So yeah, I think this is working out quite well. Oh, and none of this is going to look right if we don't actually add in a bit of color as well into this. Before I forget, we need to actually add in some flowers and stuff because this looks so good down by the hanging tree. It's just by adding in a few of the lilacs and stuff and like berry bushes, and then just like dotted around in the landscape as well, because again, it breaks up all of the sort of very green, mossy colors and stuff. So yeah, a little bit of that spread around, and then a spore blossom, I think, hidden away, just so we get some more particle effects in the area. And again, it's going to add to the whole ambience and everything. So yeah, that will look pretty good, I think. And then also make use of some of the cherry petals, just like a few here and there. Like I don't want to add in too many, but just a few, just like a little pop of color. And I just think that looks really nice. Yeah, I definitely can't wait for the new little flower drops that they're adding in that we'll be able to add into this as well. But for now, at least, the pink petals, I think, does the trick. And then I think we're well on our way. So now that I've got, I'll say, our path that we started off there, the final little bit that I just want to do is I just want to change the tunnel that Eden started here, and I want to make it match more in line with the original tunnel that we made underneath the mountain. Something a bit more like this. So it kind of matches in with the tunnel that works its way down to the mountain library and the speakeasies. So yeah, it kind of makes things feel more harmonious and I just joined up and consistent, because I kind of like it when there's like a nice bit of similarity between things. Things feel like they tied in together and they feel really joined up. So yeah. But this is looking really good. I am so happy with this. This has come along so far, and this is just everything that I had in mind and more. I mean, how better now to just have our little mysterious enchanting setup than hidden away in this old, abandoned and ruined tower up on top of the mountain. So this has been so much fun. This is what I've been really enjoying in Minecraft lately, is just kind of just going with the flow with no real particular plan. Like I used to stress out about plans and kind of figuring everything out before I actually started building, specifically with like creating content in mind. But what I found is that it just kind of hinders things. It's much better to just go with the flow and enjoy things. So with that, we now have a complete new landscape, and that's all we really have time for. So until next time, I will see you later. Bye-bye. Over the last few months, I've been on a mission to build Minecraft's coziest mountaintop base, with every little build telling a story and forming part of the picture. And today, I'm actually going to be diving into a project that I've wanted to tackle since day one on this world, and it's all about taking advantage of the beautiful landscape that we actually have out front on the face of our mountain. But before we get too carried away, they've got to do some basic planning, and honestly, the biggest challenge here is going to be getting everything to actually line up just right. And if you figured out what I'll be building, then drop your guess down in the comments down below. So I'll be placing down some wool just to map things out, and I promise it will all become clearer later on, but at this point I just kind of need to have an idea of how everything's going to come together. So I've got a pretty good idea of the materials I want to build with, but one thing's for sure, I'm going to need a lot more wood. So I grabbed a bunch of saplings from our greenhouse, some bone meal from our farm, and then started placing down some saplings, and then went to town chopping oak and acacia. With the wood collected, I then made a quick trip over to my neighbour Elliot's industrial zone to borrow a bit of iron. Hopefully he won't mind too much. He's not too active at the moment, so it shouldn't be a problem. You might still be wondering what I'm going to be building at this point, and if you've guessed a cable car system connecting my mountain base to the lower area below the mountain, then you'd be absolutely correct. I mean, this is something that I've wanted to tackle since day one on this world, but it's always seemed so daunting and way beyond my abilities to pull off that I actually put it off for many months. But no longer. I am determined to pull this off. So I've got pretty much all the resources that I need for at least the first stage. And what I want to tackle initially is the center pylon. This is going to be the main support structure that's going to be carrying the cables like down the mountain.
So it's imperative that we make this to be look really sturdy, but I also want to make sure it stays in the theme of the sort of previous building styles that we've gone for in our base. So I've really tried to push myself out of my comfort zone and kind of come up with something that kind of fits that, but also looks like proper, a little bit industrial, but still kind of like classic styled. Yeah, I think this does the trick. It's at least a good starting point, but I guess I mustn't get too complacent, as this next step is definitely going to be a lot harder, as I'm actually going to be needing to very soon actually get the cables in, because there's not going to be much of a cable car system if I can't get this in place. Now, I could try and wing it, but my confidence is fairly low at this point, so I think what would be a good idea would be to begin first with just like a template with some wooden planks, and then I can replace it afterwards with actual iron bars. So I started building in the first template line, but it immediately became clear just how bad it looked. It's way too straight and uniform, and this needs to actually resemble how cables might hang in real life. So I then spent some time redoing it all, and it's definitely starting to look a little bit more promising. It's not perfect, but I guess we'll really just have to trust the process and kind of hope it all turns out all right in the end. Moment of truth, I guess we just go for it now and take the plunge and actually start replacing all of these planks with the actual iron bars. My palms are ever so slightly sweaty at this point, so yeah, but I guess I'll be tweaking this plenty as I go along. But I think I'm content enough now with the sort of the general shape of it that I can kind of continue on to the next phase of the project. And really, after the success of the center pile, I guess we can really just go for it now with the lower platform. Because the most important part really is going to be that the platforms themselves are there, and that there's something to kind of give the impression of the cable that's attached to it, kind of like looping back around to sort of take the cars in and out of the station. I think I've got a pretty good idea now of the general layout, and I've been at it for a little while now, but the further I go, the more I'm starting to doubt myself. It was all looking so good to start with, or at least I thought it did, but now I'm just not so sure. I think this is the point that you inevitably sometimes get to in Minecraft, where no matter how proud you might be, sometimes you just need to bite the bullet and tear down a build for the greater good of your world and start again. Otherwise, it might just well kill your motivation. So I did just that and started tearing down the bulk of the station at least to then try again. I decided I liked the overall shape of the station, but the design itself needed to change. So I went with much of the same style as the pylon itself. It was always my goal originally, but it just didn't seem to pan out so well the first time. But boy, am I glad I decided to start again, as I think this is already starting to look a lot better and much more in line with what I actually had in my mind when I first started to sort of wing this and, start it in the first place. With that lower station now complete, what I really want to tackle now is the upper station area, but we're going to have a little bit more of a challenge on our hands, because currently there's not really the area to actually build on. So I need to make kind of like a temporary platform, just like a foundation layer, to actually give ourselves something to construct on. It's going to look a bit bad for a little while whilst it's just floating in the air, but I promise we'll actually tidy it up and actually tie it into the surrounding landscape. But for now, it's going to have to do. So for this upper station, I'm definitely going to be keeping it pretty much along the same lines as the lower station. So it's going to tie in really nicely together. But yeah, I think this is going to do the trick. And then we're going to have to make a little bit of a walkway up to it as well to make it fully accessible. And of course, we're going to have to join up like a pathway or something to kind of link up to our upper base area so that we can get up and down to the station. But yeah, everything's starting to look really good and coming together so nicely. As daunting as this project had originally seemed to me, I am so glad that I took it on, because it's finally now starting to take shape. But all we need now really is the cable cars themselves. But first, I need to collect up a few missing items. So I started breaking down some copper ore, smelting it up in the old starter hall that we'd long abandoned, crafted up some cut copper stairs, and then started placing down some pesky copper trapdoors to oxidize. Boy, had I forgotten how much of a pain copper can actually be. But as I couldn't quite fully decide how many cable cars I'd actually want to add, I think for now at least 4 should be enough just to kind of bring this project to life and make it truly immersive. But expanding a little bit onto the lore of this whole project, I wanted to really kind of symbolize how the people of the mountain have gradually progressed in technology since originally settling in the area after the original dwellers had long ago left the abandoned ruined tower at the peak that we built in the last episode. So I think this is kind of a way of really kind of giving like meaning to this build, and it's something that we've been trying to do with every build that we've added so far into this world. We're trying to tell a bit of a story and give every build a very unique purpose in this world. And it's something that's actually given me a lot of motivation to kind of keep playing in this world and keep coming back time and time again. And I've definitely enjoyed it. So yeah, this is coming together really nicely now. It'd be really quite cool to imagine these cable cars continuously going up and down the mountain, and I'd be lying if I said that I hadn't been procrastinating for the last 20 minutes or so just taking in the view of the cable cars going up and down the mountaintop. But anyway, enough of that. I promised that I'd tackle the problem of the floating upper platform. So I think to start with, I'm just going to be doing a really basic job and filling in with some grass blocks. It's not going to look amazing yet, but I think it will be a good starting point. I need to really make sure that it doesn't look too uniform and it's going to eventually fit in more naturally in with the surrounding area. But I guess we'll just kind of go from there and see how we get along. Whilst in the space behind the station, there's something else that has also been left incomplete for a while, and this is this kind of like dirt, I guess, cliff face area that Eden, my original base companion, started making a few months ago. So I want to do a little bit of a better job of like a kind of landscaping and do my best to kind of polish it all off. So to start things off with, I began by building in a stairway up to the top section. And I've tried something a little bit different here with this kind of like open stairs approach. I'm still not 100% sold on it, but I think it's definitely a bit of a different feature. For the cliff face itself, I've made this sort of organic supported wall structure that kind of gives us a bit of an impression of it being like really aged and gradually crumbling away. So perhaps it could tie in really nicely again with the kind of the lore behind the old ruined tower, so it can be part of the whole old abandoned settlement from long ago. So I think that kind of is a good way to kind of, yeah, wrap things up with it and kind of tie it in nicely, and I really make it a bit of a feature that kind of makes this whole area sort of seem a lot more immersive. I still struggle a bit when it comes to making more of the organic detailing, but I have actually really enjoyed it lately. It's definitely kind of a fun new challenge because it's not something that I've focused much on in the past. So yeah, it's quite fun, but I think it's starting to come together now. But there are still a few extra details that I really want to add in, so I headed back over to our greenhouse to pick up some flowers and leaves so that we can start adding in some much needed foliage, kind of really emphasize how old this structure is and how nature is slowly starting to reclaim the land, or so should I say it has been for many years. So I'm going to use the leaves as sort of vines and other sorts of foliage kind of making its way up the sort of sides. I'm not exactly too fussed about it being perfect, but it does really need to add something to it all. So I want to be really careful not to go too overboard. So I don't want to just kind of place things everywhere. I just kind of want to make it look meaningful. So the most important thing is that it looks natural, and if we can achieve that, then I think I will be happy and content at least to move on. But yeah, I think this is coming together and it's certainly having the kind of the effect that I wanted. Taking a small step back to look at this area in FreeCam, and I am very happy. I'm not sure what you think about this area, but at least to me, it's definitely starting to feel a little bit more joined up, but I don't want to call it done just yet. So whilst I'm still very much in the swing of things, I think there is one really key detail that we haven't yet tackled, and that is the addition of some more custom trees. I want to continue growing the forest that we actually began in the last episode by our ruined tower. So I've got ahead and actually designed a couple more variants of the pine trees that we recently made. So I think there are a couple of really great areas where some trees could actually make all of the difference, really. But first, I need to do a final bit of resource gathering, and it seems kind of odd that to make a forest, we first have to chop one down. Such is Minecraft, I guess. Okay, so I think we have enough stuff to really kind of begin with, but whilst we start building up the first few trees, I do need your help. So I've been playing on this world for probably over half a year now already, and truth be told, it's starting to get to the point where my inspiration is just beginning to run a little dry. I have probably a couple of ideas left on my sleeve for future episodes, but I would really love to hear your ideas and suggestions in the comments on what we could possibly tackle in the future, because I still feel
there is just so much more that we could actually still do in this world, because we built something really special here, and it's definitely in probably my top 5 favorite bases of all times, and it's my first really like foray into like a more natural themed base, and definitely my first into really trying to add a bit of lore into the world and kind of like make the builds have more of a story. So if you have any ideas on what we could add to this, then it could really kind of help build out the next chapters in our story. But anyway, plea for help out of the way. I think this is coming together really nicely now with the trees, and it's definitely starting to make things feel a bit more atmospheric and full of life. This whole project is actually almost making me want to dip my toes into the create mod, and yet there's still something so oddly satisfying and authentic about making stationary builds the good old-fashioned way in vanilla Minecraft with just pure imagination. Although I am wondering a little bit if there's any way we could add a bit of motion at least into the build, as I keep seeing all these really awesome videos at the moment with some like truly incredible like animations and stuff with cogs and fans using just like vanilla redstone. But anyway, rambling aside, I can't quite believe how much progress we've actually managed to make in this episode, and it feels so good to be finally wrapping it up after so long of wanting to build this whole project and bring it into life. And it really goes to show that you can do anything in this game if you just put your mind to it. But anyway, seeing as this episode's already taken way too long already to make, and I also need to get back to the Channel 64 SMP, so really all I have left to say is until next time, I will see you later. Bye-bye.
Welcome back everyone, me and my best friend are on a mission to build the coziest, most immersive mountain base in Minecraft, where every build has a story and a purpose. And last episode, we finally tackled one of my dream projects, a cable car system reaching to the top of the mountain. But the work doesn't stop there. The northern side of the mountain has been left bare and forgotten for far too long. So today, we're going to transform it into a thriving mining town. And it's going to be one of my biggest challenges yet, so sit back, relax, and let's get started. Getting started can be a little bit tough sometimes, but when you play with friends, a lot of these challenges tend to fade away pretty quickly. So the plan today is to first transform the mountain face into an entrance into our future mines. I then want us to actually start building out the town itself and bring in as much life as possible. And then finally, I want to actually completely transform the area around it and make it feel a part of the whole base area. Fortunately, me and Eden were actually feeling pretty inspired at this point, and we gathered up a few resources and then started filling in some of the sort of the ugly spots within this whole area, and then started laying out a kind of rough layout of where we wanted the entrance to be, or at least to get a bit of an idea of the scale of the entrance. As I think that's probably one of the most important things, is just kind of figure things out before you actually get too far into things. But what I want to do is I actually want to make the entrance kind of similar to what I've done in the past with the one that we made into our like storage area. But of course, this one's going to be a little bit larger. So with a bit of trial and error, I started trying to figure out the layout of it, and at first it did look like it looked alright, but actually on hindsight I think it looked a little bit out of place, a little bit too large. So I started tearing it down and reconstructing it a little bit smaller to be a little bit more in the same scale as all the other sort of builds that we've been building in our whole base area. But on the second attempt it looked a lot better and I was much happier with the results. But what we're going to do now is we're going to start doing a little bit of landscaping just to kind of really complete the entrance and make it feel a bit more natural. So we'll start tackling the floor area and of course the area surrounding the entrance itself in the mountain face. is all really starting to come together pretty nicely now, but I think one extra thing that we should really add into this is a minecart track, because I think that's going to really help add to the whole immersive feel. So what I'm going to do now is we need to actually start adding in a little track, just kind of making its way down to the end of the whole mine area, because then what Eden is going to do is he's going to start building in a mine shaft that can add in an elevator that will take us up and down to the lower areas. So this is going to be pretty cool. So such a small detail, but just by adding in a little track like this, and I think it goes quite a long way. But whilst I was busy constructing in the entrance and starting on the minecart track, Eden was busy at work starting to build in a mine shaft so that he could build in a slime machine elevator to take us up and down to the lower area, which I think will be a really cool immersive feature of this whole project. But the next step for myself is that I need to start thinking about building in some supports for the actual mine area to make it feel a little bit more complete. But for that, I need to actually go and gather up some wood. So I popped over to my bone meal farm to collect up some bone meal, and I then started farming up some trees, some oak trees, so that I could then have the necessary wood to carry on constructing. But now that we have the necessary oak, we need to actually start constructing in the arches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it very much in style with the entrance and use that same mix of stripped spruce logs and the oak logs, and then use some stair blocks and trapdoors, some signs, and kind of make that nice classic arch shape across the whole area, because I think this is going to make it feel much more like a sort of classic mine, and that's definitely the feel that I want to very much go for. So this is already going a long way, and it's helping to sort of shape the whole space. So this is looking pretty good. I'm very happy with the progress that we've made so far, and whilst I was busy constructing in the arches, Eden had actually got the slime elevator working. So this is super cool. This is going to be so cool to be able to go up and down to the lower areas. And this is exactly the sort of immersive features that we've been trying to add in so much really into the whole base area. I mean, all in all, there are so many little secrets and little features, I think, now of our base as we've been playing along these last few months, and it is coming together so nicely. A few months have actually passed since constructing the whole mine area with Eden, as sometimes IRL things have a habit of catching up with you, but I am back on this world and I am determined to take things to the next level with this whole project. So what we need to do now is we need to start tackling this area here that we have outside the mine entrance, and we need to actually extend this little dirt plateau because it is just not big enough for the vision that I have in mind. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start constructing out a bit of a dirt outline, and then we can start filling that out as we sort of get a bit more confidence in this sort of layout that we want to go for. We've made some pretty good progress with extending the dirt plateau, but unfortunately I am now starting to run out of dirt. So what we need to do now is we need to pop over to the stables to grab my horse Nymeria and go for a little journey across the world to find an area of land where we can happily harvest up as much dirt as we need to kind of finish off the dirt plateau. And I am still very much sticking to my golden rule of only traveling by land-based travel, so like horseback or boats or whatever, but I am not using an elytra at all in this world, and I am very much enjoying it. I mean, at some point I am sure we will go on a mission to find a happy ghast and make a bit of an airbase or something for them so that we can see the world from above, but for now at least I am very content by traveling by horseback, and it has served me well so far. But anyway, with the dirt now that we need all fully collected up, I then started making my way back to base. But on my way back, I couldn't help but notice some of the new blocks that were added into Minecraft 1.21.6, so I spent a little bit of time in gathering up some of the dead grass, some of the bushes, and of course some of the leaf litter, so that we can definitely make use of this probably in and around our whole area, because we've been making a bit of a habit of every new update kind of collecting some of the new items and kind of continuing to decorate our base and adding them in and making things better and better over time. So yeah, but it's time now to continue onwards with our task of filling out the dirt plateau. So things are starting to look a lot better now, and I'm trying to add in a bit of varied levels of terrain into this whole sort of like plateau area so that we can actually have builds on sort of different levels, because I actually really want to make sure that this town is not like flat or anything like that. I want to have the roads kind of like winding up the different levels, and kind of connecting up to different things. So although it looks a little bit rough around the edges right now, and yes, it is floating in the air, but we will tackle that later on. But what we need to do now is we need to actually turn our attention to actually gathering up the necessary resources ready to start constructing in the first build of our town. And thankfully, I had pretty much most of the necessary resources stored away in our storage area. But there was a couple of notable items that we are currently lacking quite a bit of, and that is copper. So thankfully there is actually a trial chamber just along from me, and this is probably going to be the easiest way to gather up a whole load, because I don't really feel like doing a whole mining session right now. So I popped over to the trial chamber. I then battled the initial couple of spawns of the various mobs, and then I was able to actually start mining up and stealing the load of copper from the trial chamber. I mean, Mojang really have made this way too easy now to get hold of a whole load without really having to do any kind of work. So with the copper now pretty much gathered up, it meant that we could actually start constructing the first town build. And whilst we get building, I think now is good enough time as any just to ask that if you're enjoying watching this episode and you're liking everything that I'm doing here today, then maybe consider hitting that like and subscribe button, as it really helps the channel out. But anyway, now we are pretty much there with the first build, and I am very happy with how this has come out. This is definitely helping to kind of set the scene for all of the future products that we have yet to come. But what we're going to do now is we're going to move straight on to the second build. So I have an exciting idea of something that I want to add into our whole town that I think is really going to fit very nicely into the whole theme of a mining town. So what I need to quickly do is again go off and collect up a few extra resources. I really need to think about making a proper tree farm at some point, because I always seem to end up with a shortage of wood types. So I need to have a little bit more acacia and also spruce for this next build. And then finally, we're just going to craft up a few campfires, because I am going to need some of these in this particular build. And then there's only a few extra little items, and then I think we are pretty much ready to get started. So the next build that I'm going to be starting on is a blacksmith, because I think this will be perfect for a mining town. So it's obviously going to be there so that we can smelt up all the goods and stuff that we mine out of our mines. So I think that's really going to fit nicely into the theme, and I definitely have some exciting ideas about how we can make this not only aesthetically pleasing in our whole town area, but also how we can make it functional and make sure that it has a real purpose in our whole base area. Because again, as I keep sort of alluding to a lot really, is I want to try and make sure that every build in our whole base has a real purpose, or has a bit of a story and has a reason for us to kind of keep coming back to it time and time again. Okay, I know I say this a lot, but this actually might well be one of my favorite builds to date. I absolutely love it, and I think this is going to be perfect for our whole mining town, really. I think if the first build didn't set the scene, then I think this one definitely does. And I think it's in a prime position in the town. It's kind of like almost like a centerpiece to it all, really, because it's going to be like the thriving industries where all the town residents are going to probably be working and hard at work if they're not in the mines, that is. So we have a nice bit of space actually inside, and that is going to come in use very shortly, because what I'm going to be doing a little bit later on is hopefully incorporating some fun functional elements. But yeah, we have a little bit of quite a bit of space all in all. We've got two sections to it, so I'll have a little think about what else I can add in as well. But I am so happy with this. But anyway, what we need to do now is take a quick pause from building and actually go ahead and apply some honey to all of the copper trapdoors that we've been using in and amongst our builds, because I needed to wait for them to fully oxidize to then apply it, because they're kind of the one annoying block that you can't kind of pre-apply it unless you've already crafted them and laid them out, which is really annoying. But anyway, I think that's looking a little bit better, and that'll make sure that they stay in the right state we want them in, because that exposed state I think is just perfect really in all the builds that we have. I also need to do a quick stop over to our greenhouse to harvest up a few carrots so that we can craft up some golden carrots, just to kind of give ourselves a quick restock of food to tie us over for the rest of the builds that we're going to be building in the town, because I am running quite low. We're probably going to do something a little bit better around our food supply in the near future, but for now this should tie us over. But what we need to do now is we need to hop on to Nymeria and hop out once again into the world to find ourselves a Badlands so that we can go and collect up a load of terracotta, because for the next few builds I'm going to be using quite a bit of it, and again it's one of those blocks that I don't seem to have much in my storage. I unfortunately am very much one of those players that I don't really kind of like stockpile all that much. I tend to kind of collect the bare minimum for projects, and then every time I end up just having to collect up a whole load of things. But in a way it's quite nice because you get to go out on little extra adventures here and there, so it kind of all works out really in the end. So now that we have all the terracotta that we need for our next build in the town, it was time for us to actually head back to base, but not before procrastinating a little bit further, because I decided that I wanted to find an armadillo to take home as a pet. I've wanted one ever since they pretty much added them into the game, and I can't remember which version that was now, but I think an armadillo would make a fine addition to our collection of pets, because of course we have a nice group of them now. We have Missy, our cat, we have our 2 axolotls in our little pond, and of course Nymeria, our horse. So an armadillo would be a lovely addition to them all. So for now at least, I'm going to leave him here until I can find him a proper home. But we will need to give him a name, so if you have any suggestions of what we can name him, then leave a comment down below and I will pick the best from them. But anyway, now that we're back at a base, I'm going to distract myself a little bit further, because what I would like to also do is try and incorporate a few of the new 1.21.6 items they added into the game, such as the firefly bush, because this is going to look perfect in our little like tranquil area here, a little chilled out cozy pond area underneath our hanging tree with our axolotls. So I think a few of these kind of sprinkled about for the particle effects in the nighttime, I think is just going to look absolutely lovely. The sun's setting and it is looking so peaceful. I'm really glad that I took the time to actually add in a few of the firefly bushes, and I think they really kind of polished things off really nicely actually, because although we had the hanging, I've forgotten what the flower is now that adds all the spore blossom that adds in all the particle effects and all that. It obviously is nice, but the fireflies I think is just, it's perfect, especially the fact that it only comes out at nighttime. This just makes it feel all the more calm and peaceful really as the sun starts to set. But I think that is enough distractions for the time being, so it's time for us to head back to the mining town and get constructing the next building. And this is going to be kind of like a general residence really for some of the miners to kind of live in. I'm not entirely sure exactly what I'll do yet in the interior, but I think this will kind of restart to build out the town and give us something to really kind of work with, so we can start to like build in roads and stuff like wrapping around between it and of course the blacksmith. And then once we've got this constructed, we need to actually get moving with the main purpose really of the blacksmith, because what I want to do is I want to add in a fun little element to it really to kind of make it extra functional. So we have obviously the space inside here, and I'm going to make a drop-off point right by the furnace, and I'm going to build in a super smelter so that we can actually make this really functional and fun and drop off all the items that we need smelted and then have them pop out of the ground. So tell me that doesn't do the trick. Anyway, I think this is a nice fun element now that we've finally got some function into the blacksmith. And of course this checks off another key kind of like missing piece really in our whole base. A nice bit of industry with super smelter, because we've got a few farms and stuff, but we are lacking on some of the more industrial builds. So this is lovely, I think. But what we need to turn our attention to now is we need to actually start building in like some roads and stuff between all of our builds that we've now got in place in the town. And there are a few more builds that I will be building in as well a little bit later on. But I think for now we're in a place where we can actually start to lay out the roads themselves. So I'm going to be doing quite a rough start really of this. I'm going to kind of draft it out because I've not really fully planned this out. So I'm just going to kind of do a really basic job. So bear with me, okay? It is going to look good, I promise. But we'll start off with just some plain old stone, just to kind of get this sort of the rough layouts in place and sort of like the elevation changes at least, because obviously these roads, they are going to kind of go up from the sort of the upper areas and sort of down into the lower areas. So we kind of need to figure that out. And then, of course, we can actually start to do some texturing and make this look a whole lot better. So I'm going to keep this really quite simple. And I just like using stuff like all the cobblestone and the mossy cobblestone, really. It kind of make this look a little bit worn. And of course, we'll try and incorporate in a lot of the coarse dirt and mud blocks around the edges to kind of sort of tie things together quite nicely and blend with the sort of the surrounding landscape. I think we're really starting to make some headway now with everything, and it's all starting to come together really nicely. But what I need to do now is pop over to the greenhouse yet again to collect up a few of the more natural items in the game. And what we're going to be doing is basically kind of tidying up the whole area really around the town and starting to bring a little bit more life into it all and make it feel a little bit more wholesome and just add to the whole atmosphere and everything along those lines. So we need to reshape the landscape just a little bit around by the path that kind of leads into the mines. And we're going to basically add in like a few like rock formations and bits like this, because I think that's going to really look quite nicely with the whole tuff and everything. And then what we need to do is we need to basically extend the little area of coarse dirt and a mud blocks down by the side of the road as well. And then we can start adding in things like ferns, the dead grass, and the new bushes and everything really, and kind of add in a bit of shrubs and like growth and everything into the whole area. And then we'll add in some buttons for some sort of variation with the roads. And then I think really we can start to basically add in as much little bits and pieces along the way between all of the builds. We'll add in some of the leaf litter as well, because I think this actually looks really good. I love it so much. And then we'll fill in all the flower beds and then add in some like foliage and stuff around the builds as well, because I think that's just going to look really good. Because I mean, you can't go really far wrong with leaves and bushes and stuff, really, to kind of bring things together. So this is starting to look really good now, and you can really start to see the whole town starting to take shape, and it is really exciting. I think it's this sort of phase in the project where things start to get exciting. But what we actually need to do now is actually pivot a little bit and turn our focus to the whole floating dirt plateau, because it does look pretty bad. So I would really like to get this sorted, but currently my shovel is in desperate need of repair. So before we can go any further, we actually need to go over to the Nether and head over to the gold farm so that we can actually gather up some XP to start mending up my shovel. But the only issue is, of course, in this latest update, Mojang have nerfed the big mega XP farm variants, or like gold farm variants. So I can no longer get XP just by standing in the middle of all of the zombie pigments. I actually have to do some hard work and kill a load of them myself. But whilst we've also got a little bit of XP, I do also want to head over to my enchanting tower to basically take advantage of the extra levels that I've got at the moment and go ahead and see if we can find any other decent books, because something else that I've been really sticking to in this world is avoiding villagers, or at least avoiding villagers for anything other than mending. So what I've been trying to do really hard is to basically gather as many enchantments as I can via the enchanting table. I just find it a little bit more rewarding, and again, it's another solid reason of sort of coming back to my little mysterious, mystical, like, abandoned tower that obviously has the enchanting set up there. So yeah, but anyway, we've got those a couple of enchantments gathered up, and we can now start filling in the rest of the landscape. So I'm going to do quite a rough job to begin with. It is just going to be dirt initially, just to kind of fill in all the space, and of course I will clear up all this little bit of snow that was sort of pre-generated in this world. But we do also need to go ahead and start lighting up the area inside of the whole outcrop, because the last thing we need is an unintentional mob farm. But what we need to do now is actually turn our attention to the area just on the outside, sort of surrounding the outcrop on the lower levels. And I want to actually start adding in some crop fields. So I think this could be a really nice way of kind of like encompassing the whole area, and kind of like a slightly cheaty way of doing a load of landscaping without actually doing any landscaping. So I'm going to add in a mixture of different crops, so some wheat, some carrots, and some of the tall flower variants, because I think when they're all added together like this, they look really nice. And just actually having that little pop of color as well is going to go a long way, I think. I really am having so much fun with this whole project. It has been, well, pretty much a load of fun from start to where we are now. And I want to touch a little bit actually on the backstory of this whole town. So kind of like the story that I had in mind is that the folks that have settled in this town have basically found the old settlement on the top of the mountain and then discovered the old abandoned mine and the hidden wealths and treasures and stuff deep within. And so then brought in all their workforces and started constructing the town that we have here now. So obviously they're going to need all these crops and everything to sustain themselves. So by adding this all in, I think this all ties together quite nicely with everything along those lines, because that's kind of what I've also been trying to do a lot with everything here. So on the top of the mountain, we obviously have the old abandoned tower, but we also have the start of the town and the civilization up above as well. So they've kind of settled and spread down into the lower areas and kind of taking advantage along the way and kind of exploring and discovering the hidden clues left behind by the last civilization. But for this last build that I want to build, or rather the second from last build that I want to build, I do actually need to head into the depths of the mines at the deep slate layer so that we can actually hunt for a geode, because I need a load of calcite, and that's something that I've not actually built at all with in this whole world so far, so I don't really have any much available to me. So it is time to basically find some and basically mine up a load so that we can actually start constructing. And this next build is actually going to be kind of like the whole sort of central gathering point really of the whole town, and it's going to be a town hall, but I want to build like a majestic clock tower sort of rising above it. So I think that calcite mixed with some like diorite and stuff actually is going to look really good. One last quick stopover at our storage room just to gather up a last load of resources, and then all we have left to gather is some smooth sandstone. So I think this is going to be a perfect first use case of our super smelter. So if we drop off all our sandstone over here, and then we'll get it all smelted up, and then we can actually start building the main town hall. With the town hall now basically done and dusted, that means that our town is essentially almost complete now, and it feels so good to have made this much progress already. So then that really just leaves two final tasks for this whole project, and that is to tidy up the area behind the town hall, and then of course to tidy up the side of our outcrop by our crop fields. So when I said that the dirt was just temporary, this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be changing this out now into a varying sort of textured layers of stone. So I'm going to do a little bit of actual landscaping. So I'm going to try and blend things in a little bit better between the dirt layers at the top and then some stony layers down below, as I think this will really help polish things off nicely and just kind of make things feel a little bit more complete and just overall more joined up. think at this point it really is safe to say that we can now call this whole town and all of the landscaping complete. So that checks off pretty much all 3 of our main goals for today, which was building the mine entrance and of course the mine itself, and then constructing the whole mining town around it, and then transforming and landscaping the whole mountain outcrop that we have in this lower section, and I couldn't be happier. But with that, that's all we have time for, so until next time, I shall see you later. Bye-bye. This was supposed to be a tiny mountain extension, but it got completely out of hand. For months now, I've been on a mission to build the most immersive lived-in mountain base in Minecraft, where every build has a story and a purpose. And last episode, we transformed the northern face into a thriving mining town. But the eastern side of our whole range, well, it's never looked quite right. Farms are sticking out from the mountain completely exposed. So the idea seems so simple. Extend the ridge, cover them up, job done. But that small extension, it quickly turned into something much bigger, and instead of covering the farms, I pushed the mountain higher, turning the ridge into a towering new mountain range with snowy peaks above the base. But this wasn't enough. I actually decided to challenge myself even further for this project and built the whole thing with no real plan, all in the survival world, so no Axiom, no creative test world, and no Lighmatica. This ended up being a challenge like no other, spending more than 50 hours in-game. Getting started on a new mega project in Minecraft is always one of the most daunting tasks in this sort of whole process. So what we're going to need to do first is we need to start giving ourselves a little bit of confidence with the layout of what we actually want to construct. So what we're going to do is we're going to collect up a load of dirt, and then we are going to actually start outlining the rough sort of shape. And I am going to be completely honest. I don't know what I'm doing. At this point, I am going to be completely winging everything. I have never built a Minecraft mountain before, so this is completely new ground, pun intended. So if we just start by outlining this, then we can just try and see how we get along. And I'm going to end up probably spending many hours just trying to get an idea of what shape is actually going to even work. Oh boy, I'm not sure I'm feeling any more confident at this point, but we have the stance of an outline, and we do need to take this further, so it's a good start, but it's not going to be enough. But there is one realization that is very quickly coming to mind. If we actually want to construct a mountain, we are going to need an absurd amount of stone. But the thing is, I only have a single Silk Touch pickaxe, which is not going to be enough. So what we need to do now is actually construct ourselves an additional pickaxe, which we'll need to enchant with Silk Touch on it. And we're going to head over first to our old abandoned starter hall and grab a mending book that is in our collection from when we first started on this world. But beyond mending, for the rest of the enchantments, we're actually going to need a whole load of XP. You see, I set myself a personal goal in this world to essentially minimize the use of villagers as much as possible. So we're going to be pretty much gathering most of the enchantments the good old-fashioned way, using the enchanting table over our ruined enchanting tower. XP levels acquired, so what we need to do now is we actually need to head up into our ruined enchanting tower so that we can actually spend some time going through the different combinations to try and get ourselves Silk Touch, Unbreaking, and Efficiency. Now, I know we could do this so much easier through villagers, but I think it's actually oddly more satisfying to sort of spend the time trying to get as close as possible to what we need. And the end result was pretty close. I managed to get myself the Unbreaking that I needed along with the Silk Touch, and of course we combine that with our Mending book. For the Efficiency enchantment, I caved and bought an Efficiency 5 book from a villager. It was just costing me too many levels, so I ended up buying an Efficiency 5 book and then applying that to the enchantments that we already collected. And then we finally had our complete second pickaxe ready to start mining up a whole lot of stone. And initial load of stone now gathered. It's definitely not going to be enough the entire range, but it'll be enough for us to actually get a good chunk of work completed. But before we go any further, we actually need to do a bit of health and safety and begin lighting up a stretch of the area that's going to be eventually covered, because I know the first thing that's going to happen is we're going to start building and then we're going to get waves of mobs spawning, and it's going to be super dangerous for us. So we need to get this sorted right away before we can go any further. Everything's lit up, it's a new day, and I'm feeling fresh and ready to go. So I think really all we can really do is just kind of go for it, and we're gonna just have to see how things turn out. I'm trying to line up basically in line with the sort of dirt outline that we added, but it is really tough to kind of gauge things correctly, especially the scale is really hard to kind of like visualize this in your mind. Especially when you're kind of doing this all on the fly in survival. I don't know why I've done this to myself. I could have just done this in Axiom and I could have built this straight away. Well, not straight away, but fairly easily in this whole world. But I've chosen to do this the hard way. But anyway, things are coming along. We are now pretty much have the first sort of little section. And I say little, it's a pretty big section, but in the grand scheme of things of what's going to be, this is still pretty small. Okay, so I think filling in this second little section has actually made a really big difference. I think this is actually massive because this is now joined in a bit more with our existing landscape. So it's making it at least a tiny bit easier to try and visualize like the direction that we're going in. But if there's one thing that really doesn't translate that well from sort of time lapses of me rapidly constructing into these sections, is that for many times I'm actually finding it a lot harder than it looks, and I would actually find myself staring for minutes at a time into FreeCam just to see if what I'm building is actually looking any good and if the shape is okay. Another decision that I might well come to regret later on in this whole process is the choice to build everything in stone initially. Now, my thinking originally was that it was going to mean that I was going to need a lot of resources if I was to detail everything up front, and I was worried about getting burnt out before even completing the project. So I decided to build everything in stone first, thinking that we could just detail afterwards. But the further I go along with this project, the more I'm realizing that the colossal scale of this means that detailing in itself is going to become a pretty big challenge. But anyway, that's another problem for another day, because we have a long way to go before we can even think about detailing everything. But we have a good section now completed at this sort of upper front area, literally straight along from our base, and I've started to end up creating something of a little bit of a valley area, and I actually really like this. We kind of ended up with a bit of a natural lower peak, and then this one that's sort of reaching towards the top. Next problem, I thought I had lit up the area enough to stop a load of mob spawning, but it seems that I missed a load of areas, or rather I've rather underestimated just how much spaces I was going to need to light up, because we've already had a load of mobs spawn in, so we need to kind of sort this out quickly before we end up in a perilous situation. We are at a really critical stage in this whole process, because the main issue with not having a plan with this whole mountain range and just building it all in survival is that at every point in this whole process, I'm having to constantly think about how everything's actually going to connect up at the varying levels in the whole elevation, because we've already built like a big section of this. So now with this sort of wider big empty area that we've also got to fill in, I've got to make sure that it's not going to end up too steep, but it's also going to join up correctly at the sort of differing levels. And I'm finding this so hard right now, because every time I think I've got it sort of lined up, I'm realizing that it is just not going to be quite right. So what we really need to do now is we need to try and focus on getting something that we are happy with. And as you can see here, I've already tried multiple times to try and figure out how this is going to connect up to the top section that we've already got, and I still don't think this is enough. I think it's going to end up being too steep, so I think we're going to have to bring this out further, and ultimately, I think we need to have a complete rethink of this layout, at least on this side of the section, so that we have perhaps some smaller peaks, because having one massive peak, I think is just going to be too much. Spaghetti Junction Hell, I'm not sure if I feel any better or not, but I've been at this for pretty much a few hours now, and this is what I've ended up with. I think this could work. It certainly looks a bit more gradual, and I think it helps break up the sort of the existing peak that we added in to start with. This feels a little bit more natural. I've been staring at pictures of real life mountains and trying to get a proper feel for like different layouts and things of terrain, and this seems like it could be a bit better, but it is also going to extend the project quite substantially, and it's going to mean a lot more building and a lot more stone that we're going to have to gather up if we want to actually fill this all in. Oh boy, wish me luck. At least until now, amazingly, I'd actually managed to avoid having to tear down any sections that we've already built, but we have our first victim. So the section directly beneath the area that we've kind of remodeled, it needs to be torn down because it is just not going to fit any longer. So we need to set up our Haste 2 beacon, and we need to tear down that section beneath us, and then we need to fill it back in again so that it lines up properly. Luckily, it's only a relatively small section, so it could have been a lot worse, but it still sucks when I spent quite a long time filling it in the first place. But anyway, we are where we are, and I think this is actually going to look so much better, so it's definitely worth the effort. And we're out of stone again. And what's more, I need to actually repair up my pickaxe if we're going to need to replenish that. And we're going to head over to the gold farm for, I don't know the how many of time to repair my tools again. But I think whilst we're here, I'm just going to collect up a load of extra levels, because I think what we could also do is add in a netherite upgrade, because I have one spare ingot, so it'll just give us a nice little durability boost, so we can just get that little bit more stone squeezed out of it before we need to repair it each time. So I just need to kind of duplicate the template that we've already got, and then we can get that applied, and then we can just go ahead and basically continue our excavation of the area beneath the mountain and gather up all the stone that we need to kind of continue progress. Whilst mining up the load of stone, I was reflecting a lot on sort of the other areas of this whole project that we need to think about, and one area in particular that kind of came to my mind as something that I really want to tackle is the pathway that's actually going to be eventually leading up to our new mountain range. And currently, it's a bit of a mess. It never received the same love as the rest of our whole base area. It has this little bit that's been jutting out for a while, so tearing it down seemed like a good idea, and I think we can just give this a little bit of a terraforming, landscaping treatment to just make it look a little bit nicer and fit in a bit more with the style of the rest of our base. So I'm going to add in a bit of a pathway, and I always love making use of all the coarse dirt and like the packed mud. It always looks pretty good. So I think this is actually going to make quite a big difference, and it's going to make it feel a bit more joined up, because that's one of my other sort of big missions really in this whole base, is to have everything feel like really joined up and connected. So this just feels like the natural choice. But anyway, this is looking a lot better. But something else that has also been kind of neglected in my world is my little armadillo friend. And in the last episode, I actually asked for suggestions on what we could actually name him. And I had a few really good suggestions, but the one that I've actually decided to go with is Pickles. Because I don't know, this just kind of feels like a natural fit really for our little friend here. So this is our latest real addition, I think, to our little pet family. And yeah, we still need to make him a proper home, but I just think it's right that we actually give him a name. All our other pets have names at this point, well, except our dogs, but we'll think about that at some other point. But anyway, it's a new day, and what we're going to do now is we're going to buckle up and go on a mega grind and fill in as much of the mountainside as I can in one go, because I am really itching to actually start on detailing in the landscape and add in some of the snowy peaks and everything. So we just kind of need to kind of dive in really and just get this filled in as much as possible. can't actually believe it. We have actually filled in the majority of the mountain now, at least with the sort of stone layers. But if you're wondering why it's floating off the ground, I say to you, yes. Yes, it is. And there is a good reason for that, and the reason is pretty simple. I actually want to raise the lower ground area, so yes, I've decided to make yet more work for myself, because I actually think it could look pretty good if we raise the ground area a little bit and we connect up a little bit better with the sort of lower meadows, or rather replace the lower meadows and kind of extend them out a bit. One, it kind of reduces a little bit of the effort around the mountain itself, a little bit in a sort of a lazy fashion, but I actually think it will look overall a lot more better if it kind of the landscape below it also kind of feels like it's kind of joined in, and it feels a little bit less like then the mountainside is kind of plonked on the existing terrain, and it feels a bit more unique and kind of tailored, I guess. That was at least what I was going to go for. So yeah, we're going to need to fill this in quite a bit. So we are kind of going to replace the sort of lower valley area. And yeah, we're basically going to have to fill in a lot of space, but I actually don't think it's going to take nearly as long as sort of the mountainside itself, because this is actually pretty easy going. Dirt's super easy to collect, and we can kind of go through this in no time. Alright, maybe not quite as quick a task as I was kind of imagining it was. I mean, just like with everything in this project, I definitely underestimated how long this would actually take. But what we need to do now is we need to head over to our bone meal farm, and we need to gather up a load of bone meal, but also some moss, because what we're going to do now is actually make this look a bit more like a meadow, because just having the plain grass blocks looks pretty bare. It doesn't really tie in at all with the rest of the pre-existing landscape. Bone milling now complete, but what I would really like to do now is actually kind of add in some more trees in the lower area, similar to what we did before with our various pine trees that we kind of got up the existing landscape. So I think by adding some more in the lower area, this could really help from like a continuity perspective. And I think it can also just really help tidy up the lower area. And yes, I do need to clear up that little temporary area. So what we're going to do now is head over to a taiga biome so that we can collect up a whole load of spruce leaves and also a load of birch leaves, and then we can pretty much gonna start adding in at least the starts of a forest. I'm probably not gonna go too far with it just because it's not really my main focus for this episode, but I do want to at least try and make a start on kind of making it feel a little bit more immersive. And I think trees really helps go a long way, kind of like filling in like the void space, like the empty spaces, and kind of help like connect things up a little bit better. So this is going to make a really big difference. Yeah, I think my instincts were correct. I think this is definitely helping to make things feel a little bit more immersive and natural, and it's probably true that the forest is a little bit sparse at this point, so we probably could do with adding in a few more trees over time, but I'm pretty happy with it for the time being, and I think I'm content at this point to kind of move on to the next and final major stage of this whole project, and that is actually on this whole task of detailing up the mountain and actually transforming it from this bare stone blob sitting on the horizon into something beautiful and hopefully transformational for our whole area. So I think for now what we need to do first is just start by filling in some of the sort of the little inner sections with some dirt and grass and moss, and I think this is going to go pretty far actually, because on a lot of real life mountains you do have like all the stone encompassing like areas of dirt and grass and everything in the middle areas, and we need to have something similar like that. So yeah, I've been staring at a lot of pictures of real life landscapes, and it is really hard to kind of translate that into kind of like a Minecraft like environment, but there's definitely a lot of inspiration to be gained, and I'm going to do my best to try and make this feel really natural and kind of just tie things up nicely. I'm starting to feel really hopeful with this project. I mean, there were points where I was really beginning to doubt whether I could actually pull this off, but I think we are actually getting pretty close now at this point, and it's hard to believe just how much time has actually been sunk into this whole project. I originally started this back in December of last year, and we are now into April of this year almost, and it is just amazing how much time has flown by, considering this is obviously my hobby, this is not my full-time job, so I'm doing a lot of this in kind of like the gaps of time that I have available in between work and general personal life stuff, but honestly, this has been worth every hour that I put into this project, and I've really lost track just how much time at this point, but it has been such an enjoyable experience. So we are now pretty much on to the final section, and that is the bit that I was looking forward to the most, and that is on adding in snow to our peaks of our mountainside. So we need to go ahead and make ourselves a snow golem, because I think this is probably going to be the easiest way to collect up like the amount of snow that we're going to need, because we're going to need a lot, and I need a mixture of both the snow layers and the actual snow blocks. I think of all the stages in this project so far, placing the snow has by far been my favorite bit. There's just been something so oddly satisfying about placing in a load of snow like this on the sort of mountainside. But the thing is, we have now run out of our current supply, and I need to gather up a whole load more. But our shovel currently doesn't have fortune on it, which I think is slowing down how much we can actually gather. So what we need to quickly do is head over to our mountain library, because hidden away behind our bookshelves is an entrance into our speakeasy that we actually made quite a long time ago now. But in the cloakroom to the side of our speakeasy, we actually have a little collection of spare tools, and one of them is a fortune shovel. So we're going to go ahead and basically combine this with our existing one, and then we'll be able to gather up a whole load of more snow, and then get back to the whole process of covering our peaks with snow. Final load of snow now placed down, and I'm really glad that I spent the time adding in this second lot of snow, because I think this made a really big difference in making it feel much more like a proper mountainside, and I am really loving every bit of it. I am still in a little bit of a state of disbelief at the sort of scale of like what we've managed to accomplish in this whole project, considering we really set out only to kind of tidy up the area a little bit and cover up the farms that are hanging out on the northern side, to kind of go from that into building an entire mountain range. It's honestly been a project that I would never in my wildest dreams of like thought of being able to sort of execute in a world, but I am so glad that I've taken on this whole challenge, and it's definitely taught me a lot of new things around building, and like what to do, what not to do, and I've just had so much fun. But anyway, with all of this now done and out of the way, all I have left to say is thank you so much for being patient with me whilst I produce this video. And until next time, I will see you later. Bye-bye.